Alright, hello everybody, welcome back, welcome. It is 3 o'clock, and as you guys know, we are doing the Choose Wisely event. This is another game that's part of the Choose Wisely event. This is called Imperial Grace, and this is by the studio Sensoria. This is another game that was reached out to me by them, and they asked me to play this for the event, and I'm actually looking forward to see what we have going on for this one. So, if you guys do enjoy this game, I did leave the Sensoria. Actually, wait, did they have a YouTube channel? I don't remember. Crud. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Okay, no. So Sensoria doesn't have a YouTube channel, but they do have other socials. I did leave the link down in the description of the YouTube channel if you guys want to go check out them and their game. Highly recommended. Aside from that, that is pretty much all I got. So let's get into Imperial Grace. Alright, so let's click on a new game. If I remember correctly, this game is basically similar to Decadent Era. We're basically building up an empire for this one. Okay, yep, this game is intended for a mature audience. It contains many themes that could offend the sensitivity of younger players. Well, I am over 18, so we're good to go. The complete list of trigger warnings is available on our store page. You're going to play a demo version of the game, thus the content might be subject to change and some features may be missing, such as the diplomacy feature. Okay. Okay, so already off the bat, that is a fair warning for anybody that should be put there. That in itself is a warning. So if you're not ready to handle some themes, don't be watching this, okay? Okay. So, show me some tips. Click anywhere on the screen to progress in the story. Use your mouse wheel to go back even after a choice. Ah! That's not what I want. Okay. Use your mouse pad to go back even after a choice. You can fasten the text display in settings. Several accessibility features are available in the options for your gaming comfort, especially if you're dyslexic, photosensitive, or epileptic, so don't hesitate to check out the corresponding functions. I did already check these out. As you guys can see, I'll probably pull my settings at some point. I did end up turning off, or I did turn on the photosensitive stuff, so that way if you guys are photosensitive, dyslexic, or epileptic, I did turn those on, so that way you guys shouldn't be too, if at all, bothered by it. So we shouldn't have to be worrying about that. You can check out your resources from the extra menu at any time. Okay, so we do have resources. And have fun. Okay. Let's go into story mode. You have infinite resources. Alright, so let's do story mode. Oh yeah, I forgot we actually get to change ourselves. So let's go with my name, Scarlet. Let's see. What is this? Blessed by Basan. You have loved fighting since you were a child. Although you were not allowed on the battlefield, you are in excellent physical shape, and your swordsmanship skill rivals that of a man. Okay, so we're not allowed on the battlefield, but we're really good at fighting. Blessed by Amatura. Okay, so starting bonus to religion. When you were younger, you almost became a scholar. Your love of reading and learning has given you knowledge in many fields, including astronomy, theology, and botany. Alright, blessed by a Horal. You have mastered the art of diplomacy and eloquence. You can improvise inspiring speeches in an instant, and you know the first names of every noble over 3 generations. Or blessed by Myriad, numbers and resources management hold no secrets for you, and you have excellent relations with merchants, are good at mental arithmetic, and know all the subtleties of tithes and other taxes, not only from Chaldea, but also from your neighbors. Interesting. And we have to choose one of these. I'm gonna go with Blessed by a Horal, because I feel like if we're trying to be Empress, this will definitely need to come in handy for diplomacy. So let's confirm. Wait. Oh, that's right. I forgot we also get to choose all these. Okay. I am definitely more of the lighter settings, so I will do that for myself. Let's see. Oh, we can give herself freckles. Nice. Beauty mark. Interesting. Let's see. We're doing something that corresponds to us, essentially. Alright. The hair type, contrary to the hairstyle, cannot be modified during the game and will be taken into account during illustrations. Okay, so contrary to the hairstyle, it can't be modified during the game. It will be taken into account during illustrations. Okay. Okay. So, this is not changing, essentially. Oh, those are... never mind. Let's stick with the straight hair. Oh, okay, so we have to pick what we want. Gotcha. Let's see. So we have that. Ooh, I like this better. Okay. So let's go with the ponytail. I do like the ponytail quite a bit. Alright, and then let me see. Eyes. Let's see. I don't have heterochromia. But also can you type in a color code? So FF07. That should have... I am just doing this because I think we're good. So... I'm just messing with things here. Okay. Huh. Got it. That's about as close as I'm getting, probably, to my actual, or to what I normally use for my eyes. Oh, wait. So it's... Oh, nope. So it's... yeah. Wait. Ah! There we go. There we go. That's how you do that. Alright, cool. Nice. Alright. And we're good to go. So let's get going. Alright, customizations on this screen will not be reflected in the illustrations. The match option adapts your outfit to the illustration and not the other way around. To change your outfit during the game, click on extra and then outfit. Okay. So this one doesn't matter so much. Okay, and this one's only used for combat specialty. Interesting. So we have formal, casual, or night. Say let's go with casual. Oh wait, we can... okay, so it lets us pick our hairstyle that goes with the outfit. Night, casual, and then formal. I feel like the formal one should be that. Or... yeah, I feel like that should be formal. Okay. So, yeah, I think we're good there. Switch outfit to match the illustration. At the start of a scene that has an illustration, the game will automatically switch your outfit, hairstyle, etc. to match the one used in the illustration, as we don't have the means to make every variation. Okay, I guess we can turn that on, see how we like that. Alright, so let's go. Prologue. Yo, Grace! Yo, Grace! A panicked voice resonated in my dream like an echo. A few moments before I understood that it came from somewhere else and woke up with a jolt, disoriented. History. What? Okay. Oh, nope. Okay, it's just the rules. Okay. Back. The palpable feeling of urgency had immediately brought me to my senses, but it still took me a few seconds to recognize the advisor's voice as well as the room I was in. Alden, what's going on? Your Highness, I bring terrible news. Your father. Your father was assassinated last night, and that's how we became the Empress. Okay. I was ready to hear just about anything. Managing crisis was an important part of royalty, after all, and yet I was completely stunned by the news. My father was dead at the hands of an assassin, just a few rooms away from me. All the implications from this revelation bounced through my head, drenched in doubt and fear concerning my own security and the future of the realm of Khalidia. I beg your pardon, Your Highness, I was too late. What are we looking for here? I pulled myself out of my lethargy. I looked down at Alexander, who knelt next to the bed, his head bent low as if the weight of his shame stopped him from getting up. Whatever went down, I knew he had nothing to be ashamed of. When I was just a child, I already admired his talents, and they grew steadfast with age in the position of general. His presence here was a relief. I didn't know the assassin's full intentions, but even if they were after me, as long as Alexander was by my side, I didn't have anything to worry about. Don't pull yourself down like this. You aren't responsible for what happened. We will bring the regenocide to justice. Alright. Still mortified, Alexander stayed on his knees. I could see his fingers twitch a little. Proof he wasn't completely convinced, but he nodded his approval all the same, transported by the firmness of my voice. As for me, now that I had said out loud, I felt that the information had settled in my mind, and I finally accepted it as truth, with a full understanding of the situation. My father, Magnus V, Emperor of Chaldea, was dead. Many would have broken down after hearing such news, but for years now I hadn't held an ounce of affection for him. His death was actually good news to me. It marked the beginning of a new era, a better one, I hoped. An era for which I'd been preparing ever since I realized that this was my destiny. I was to succeed him. I was to become the Empress. But it wasn't yet time for celebration. Although I was the legitimate heir to the throne, I had plenty of detractors, and I still needed to figure out why the assassination had taken place. I had many questions about the killer's identity and motivations. I was lost in thought, and it took me a while to realize that Alden and Alexander were staring at me, worried, surely awaiting a reaction or declaration from me. Both had known me since my early childhood. They knew the enmity I felt for the Emperor, and I trusted them enough to set all pretenses aside. But it was perhaps a bit inappropriate to rejoice over my future title while my father's dead corpse was still warm. After taking a deep breath, I threw off my covers and got up, eyeing them. Stay neutral. I feel like staying neutral is probably our best bet here, right? So let's stay neutral. Gloating seemed a tad indecent, but I could at least spare myself the pretense of being the grieving orphan that I would surely need to be in front of the court. What I feel isn't important. You don't have to worry about me. What matters most is our nation, and we all know that the sudden death of an emperor is a delicate situation. Scarlet de Terranefel? Terranefel. There we go, Terranefel. At the moment, the most important thing is to preserve the kingdom's stability. I'm counting on you to protect and serve me. This won't be an easy task, but I'm sure we can accomplish great things. This time, Alexander got up, putting his hand on his sheath in a dignified and military posture. At your service, Highness. May the four witness my oath. I solemnly swear that I will protect you until my dying breath. Emphatic, he bowed down before lifting his eyes up to me. I smiled and accepted his allegiance with a certain poise, despite my unkempt hair and my nightgown. Marjorie, my tutor, often told me that everything about me showed nobility, that I didn't need any props to act like an empress. Today, I understood what she had meant. Alden, however, didn't seem to share the general's fervor. Forgive me, Your Majesty, for tarnishing your enthusiasm, but there is a very delicate question I have to ask. Have you had your father killed? No. We are just about surprised. His abrupt question threw me off, and I stared at him, wavering between surprise and indignation. How dare you even suggest such a possibility? You're going too far, advisor. Come on, don't be offended. You said it yourself. You hated your father since the death of your brother. You've always held him responsible for it. And our father dies on the very day of your return to the palace? Whatever your answer is, I'll accept it, but I need to know. I felt anger rise within me at these words, and I walked to the window to breathe some fresh air. After I took a few deep inhales, I finally turned around to face him and gave him my answer in a firm voice. On the one hand, my presence here isn't a coincidence. The Emperor celebrates, or rather was about to celebrate, his birthday in 2 days. Half the Empire's noblemen are here. It's undeniable that the event presented the perfect opportunity to strike. The palace is swarming with unknown guards and servants. It's much harder to provide security in these circumstances. Exactly. On the other hand, your suspicions are an insult to my intelligence advisor. After a regenocide, the heir is always suspected. If I had really wanted to speed up fate, you better believe I would have been smarter about it. Marjorie taught me the rules of the game. I would never risk losing everything in such a foolish way. I know my ascension to the throne will already be difficult because I'm a woman. I'll state it plainly if it can relieve your doubts, but listen closely because I will not repeat myself. No, I did not have my father assassinated. Yeah, no, we did not. My eyes trained on him. I crossed my arms, almost daring him to contradict me as I kept a lid on my fury. Alden seemed to gauge me for a moment, then nodded in assent and apology. Please forgive me, Your Grace. As soon as possible, I'll alert the Master of Murmurs, and we'll launch an investigation to uncover the truth and bring justice to your father. I would have preferred more vivid regrets, but under the circumstances, this was enough and I felt my anger slowly fade away. I accept your apology. Let's not speak of this again. There are more urgent things to do. The news will no doubt make quite a commotion. You've asked us to swear allegiance to you. I assume you will try to claim your rightful place as heir, Your Grace? Yes, I've always wanted to become Empress, or yes, it's my destiny. I feel like yes, it's my destiny. I heaved a deep sigh and mustered all my determination to answer him without leaving any doubts as to my intentions. I realized a while ago that this was my destiny. Whether I like it or not, I don't really have a choice, and I'm not one to do things half-heartedly. Right. I know there aren't many people in the direct line of succession, but if you truly don't want to, I believe one of your, brothers would do the trick. You know full well that my cousins would covet the position. This would mean the start of a succession war that would drown the kingdom in fire and blood. Even if by some miracle the nobility came out in favor of one of my half-brothers, there's no guarantee that it would all go well. Oh, okay, so it's not just... Okay. Interesting. So, I am just gonna assume that dear old daddy did a lot of sleeping around then. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Alright, even if by some miracle the nobility came out in favor of one of my half-brothers, there's no guarantee that it would all go well. They know nothing of politics, they'd be nothing more than puppets, or even worse, incompetents. By birth, I have a responsibility to the people of this country, and I don't intend to shirk it. In any case, even if I were to retire to my estate to manage it, I would still be a potential threat to their reign. I'll never be safe, even if I were to completely relinquish my right to the throne. But she has a point. We do have a point here. There's no doubt about it, I have to be the next Empress. Only time will tell, but I think I'm the best possible choice under the circumstances. I don't doubt that, Your Grace. In fact, I'm rather relieved to see you have already thought about it. Like you said, our country needs stability. We can't get away with a weak-willed monarch on the throne. I'm sure you'll be a wonderful Empress, Scarlet. His words were barely a whisper, but I was sure of what I had heard, and I felt my cheeks redden a little. He seemed embarrassed by his own boldness and blushed more violently than me, while I flashed him a smile to reassure him. It had been years since I had last heard him call me by my name, even if I had no doubts about my own abilities. It was always refreshing to see the trust he gave me. I cleared my throat and regained my composure so I could give my orders. This would be a long night. Who else knows about the assassination for now? Alexander seemed surprised by my question and frowned a bit while searching his mind. When I found the body, I immediately went to warn the advisor, and both of us rushed to see you. So the only ones who know about it are the guards who were patrolling with me and your father's personal maid who was passing by. We knew it would be bad to attract attention, so I had her discreetly sent to the dungeon for interrogation. Wait, we knew it would be bad to attract attention, so I had her discreetly sent to the dungeon for Okay. So they brought the maid in for questioning. Alright. My brain went wee for some reason. So, how about the guards who were stationed before my father's door? Both are dead. I also had their corpses taken to the dungeon for examination. I paced the room, lost in thought. You've done well. Now, we have to keep it all a secret. It's imperative that no one else hears about it. Wait, okay. Yeah, Your Grace, this won't be an easy secret to keep. Obviously, we won't be able to do that forever. I only need a few days so I can stay ahead of my detractors. Alden looked thoughtful for a few moments, then he nodded. I see. So you want to act before everyone else, which should give you the upper hand. Exactly. Very smart. I have no doubt that some people will want to take advantage of the situation. Even if you are unquestionably the rightful heir, your place will be fought over. But if you don't give them time to react, they could make things a great deal easier. Or that could make things a great deal easier. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking too. I'd love it if the situation was more straightforward, but this is a little white lie, and the alternative is the chaos of a wildly disputed succession. Ugh. You don't seem to like this either. Alden nodded, and I continued developing the rest of my plan. In the meantime, pretend that His Majesty is not feeling well and investigate discreetly. I see. I'll order my men to stay silent. I'll also ensure that they haven't said a word so far. About that, it might be wiser to ensure that they can't talk at all. Low-grade staff is known for its gossiping, even the guards. My men are trustworthy. They would never disobey. Would you be willing to bet on that? Even if they could jeopardize... Words. Hello. Where'd they go? I don't know. Apparently right on the screen, and I just can't read them. Alright, so... Would you be willing to bet on that? If it could jeopardize the plans of your new Empress, to whom you have only just sworn allegiance. Ooh, things are getting testy. And that maid, can you also guarantee she'll keep quiet? His teeth clenched, his hand gripping the hilt of his sword. Alexander shook his head. The weight of Alden's words also fallen heavily on my shoulders, and I observed both men while contemplating my next steps. The decision is yours to make, Your Grace, but I strongly advise you to silence them for good. Hey, Beta Fish, how you doing? You kinda came right at the right time. Alden was right. The most effective way to ensure someone stayed quiet was to have them killed. Ooh, boy. This is really getting down to the nitty-gritty of this. Okay. However, there could be other alternatives to consider. Such a decision couldn't be taken lightly, because whatever I decided, I couldn't afford to regret it. Okay. So, have them killed. We pretend they were collateral damage to the assassin. I'm sorry, Alexander, but we cannot afford to take any risks. Alright. That's good. Glad you're doing well. Ensure their loyalty or promising them a much better position once I'm crowned, even if they were really tempted to talk about what happened. This should be good enough motivation to ensure their allegiance. Or when you explain to them that they mustn't give a word, give them a few coins and promise them more once the secret has been revealed. In the meantime, send them on a vacation and far away from here. That should be enough to guarantee their silence. Okay, so we have killed them. We have send them on vacation. Or we have promised them better positions. Oh, this will be entertaining. Okay, so I am thinking this is insane. All of this just feels insane, but it's like I don't want to. Remind me again, how many people were informed about this, essentially? We also can't really promise them anything. I guess let's choose to do this one. I saw Alexander sign relief and perceptibly loosen up. Alden, however, shrugged and bowed to me. That could work, yes. Time will tell. I have faith. Besides, if I'm right, I'll be surrounded by trustworthy people, which is always useful. So we keep good on our word, and hopefully they're good on their own word. We just have to be careful about how we go about this. I have spoken with determination, perfectly hiding my own doubts. Humans are unpredictable in nature. It was a bet, and I can only hope it would pay off. In any case, even if the servants talked and rumor escaped, I still had my chances. The advantage I was building would be precious to me, but it wasn't the only weapon in my arsenal. Can I count on you, Alexander? He straightened into a military stance and immediately bowed. Of course, Your Grace. I will do my best to convince them. You made the right decision. Without further ado, he bowed once more and left the room with a heavy step. Alden seemed to be lost in thought for a moment, giving me time to come to my senses before he bowed down in turn. I must at least inform the Master of Murmurs of the situation, so that we may launch an investigation. I have a recommendation. The game is the same type, but different. The game is Kathy Rain. Okay, like I said, I'm always willing to try new games, and I might be willing to look at that one, but let's focus on this game first. I nodded, aware of our lead's spy discretion as well as his efficiency. Once that is done, I'll come to you to plan the rest of your ascent. Once more, I nodded in approval, glad to be offered a little interlude that would allow me to gather my thoughts, and to dress decently while I was at it. After all, even if the coronation hadn't taken place yet, deep within me, I knew it, I felt it. I was the Empress. Chapter 1! Long live the Empress! Long live the Empress! Okay, so spring, day 8, it's morning. The sun had now been up for a few hours, promising a beautiful day, but I knew I wouldn't be able to appreciate it. Now that the rush of adrenaline from the news had passed, all I had left were doubts on the days to come, which were going to be exhilarating as much as terrifying. I was gambling my future along with Caladia's, and that was a big deal. I had spent the past few hours readying myself and refining the details of my plan to appease my latent nervousness as best I could, but that didn't help me shake off my main preoccupation, the servants. Like Alden had said, I had made a risky decision, and I had been torturing myself for hours, wondering if it was worth it. I was restless when I heard the knock and leapt to the door, opening it for Alden, letting him in. There, Your Grace, we have followed your orders. I hadn't seen that he was accompanied by the Master of Murmurs, who came in after him, A slight discomfort washed over me. His role inside the palace was vital, but since I was a child, I'd been terrified of his hidden face and the mysterious aura that surrounded him. Nevertheless, my discomfort turned to amazement when I saw him remove his hood, as if it were nothing, and turn to face me. My brain had pictured the worst for years, and it was very unsettling to finally be able to put a face to the man. I realized he wasn't as monstrous as I had imagined. No problem. I just see that the last few games you have played are the point-and-click detective-type games. Yeah, so basically the point of the Choose Wisely Festival was the theme. It was basically pick and choose your own adventure. So, and that's kind of what you get a lot when you have, like, the visual novels. You click and choose which choice that you want to make, essentially. In fact, I was so shocked that it made me forget the reason for my visitor's presence, which seemed to greatly amuse the Master of Murmurs. Is there a problem, Your Grace? Oh, it's just, I didn't know that you could show your face. To be honest, I do what I want, but in principle, I only remove my hood in the presence of my sovereign and their close collaborators. Though I like to entertain the mystery and anonymity that come with the job, it would be far too dangerous for me never to reveal my face. Some people might use that to assert my identity. Gotcha, that actually makes sense. Okay. I see. I see. Yeah. Though it was disconcerting, it was also rather reassuring to see that a man as important as the Master of Murmurs already acknowledged me as his sovereign. Alden cleared his throat to recall me to my duty, and I suddenly remembered the reason for the two men's presence, which immediately made my anxiety flare up. To keep myself from staring at the master spy, I faced the advisor and fully focused on him. Did everything go well? My anxiety must have been conspicuous, even if I was doing my best to put on a confident expression. The servants seemed convinced by your offer. They left the palace without complaining, so I suppose we can count that as a win. Despite all that, it's still a bit early to be sure of anything. I gave the Master of Murmurs and Alexander the task of keeping a close eye on the situation. Ooh boy. This sounds a lot like, the grasshoppers trying to control the ants, essentially. Alright. Wada! The Master of Murmurs slowly nodded in assent. We'll know more tomorrow, but for the time being, there's nothing more to report. I lifted my eyes to meet my advisors and flashed Alden a reassuring smile. Clearly, he read my emotions better than I thought, and I couldn't allow myself to visibly waver at such a critical time. I know that, and what's done is done. Now we must focus on the future. Bring the High Priest to the council room. I need him to contact the Quadrator? The Quadrator? I have no idea how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. Robert is a pious man. Are you sure it's a good idea to confide in him? Everyone likes to think the devout never lie, but one doesn't obtain a place like this without cheating a little. I admit that the idea of lying to him came to me for a fleeting moment, but to fool him would be a complex task, and I'll be needing his support when the time comes. The people put great stock in men of faith. Very well, Your Majesty. Will that be all? Yes, thank you. Alright, so afternoon. You summoned me, O Grace. Yes, thank you for coming, Robert. I gestured for him to sit down while I settled behind my father's imposing desk, like I had predicted. My behavior made him lift a curious brow, but I pretended not to notice it. I won't beat around the bush. My father, the Emperor, died during the night. Clearly had done a pretty good job keeping that a secret, since the shock on his face seemed genuine. What? But how? And why am I just now learning about it now? I need to pray for his soul. I tried to appease him with a wave of my hand, inviting him to sit back down since he looked like he was about to get up. He was murdered. For the time being, we're keeping his death a secret, so we can investigate without causing any sort of panic. It was the Master of Murmurs' idea. He He's convinced he'll be able to find the assassin more easily this way. Drowning in information, the high priest slumped into his chair and took in my half-truths, while I assumed a saddened expression. It truly is a tragic situation. Keeping quiet and hiding my mourning is a very hard task for me. I know it's a lot to ask of you, but you need to keep this a secret. I want to do everything in my power to uncover the murderer, especially since I'm scared he could come after me. Once more, I was quite proud of the quivers in my voice, and my acting seemed to be effective since I saw a spark of compassion light up in his eyes. I understand now why the general was guarding your door like a common soldier. With a closed expression on my face, I nodded, searching for the right words. The first and main reason I summoned you here is so that I could confide in you and ask you to pray for my departed father's soul. Of course, Your Majesty. I'll lock myself in the great temple and dedicate myself to the task. My face, still sad, I gave him a tight, grateful smile, but inside I felt relieved. His prayers should keep him busy enough that he wouldn't be tempted to reveal everything. Now, I could move on to the true reason of his presence here. But before that, this saddens me, but I have another favor to ask of you. Of course, Your Grace. What is it? Well, Alden and I are afraid that all the upstarts across the kingdom will rush to the castle to try to usurp the throne as soon as my father's death is made public. In their greed, many forget that my line sits on the throne by the grace of the Four, so I'd like to send a letter to the Quadrator and have him support my coronation as well as reaffirm my legitimacy. Once more he stayed silent, and I tried to hide my worry behind a veil of sadness. I hated that my plans depended on a single person, but I didn't have a choice. Only rulers and high priests could hope to quickly reach the ultimate leader of the cardinals, and I technically wasn't empress yet. I understand. Yes, your Magnus Fifth's only legitimate child. The throne should be yours. That said, I don't know if the Quadrator will approve of your advent. Perhaps if you were married, your candidacy would seem less inappropriate. I felt my body tense up at his words, and it took all I had to conceal how irritated I was by this reminder. I knew I would be told such things. I had mentally prepared myself for it, but obviously it hadn't been enough. It's an issue, yes, and I'll do my best to find a fitting husband quickly, but you'll agree that I cannot entrust the throne of Chaldea to just anyone. I have plenty of suitors, but I need some time to study each and every one of them. That's not something that can be done in just a couple of days or even weeks. In the meantime, we do need someone to lead the country and make sure it doesn't sink into chaos. And if a regent were to be appointed, I'm afraid he might refuse to give the throne back to me and my husband, which would lead the whole country into bloodbath. No one wants to see another era of murderous plots like during Magnus III's time. You're right, Your Grace. We cannot let such a tragedy befall us. I'll go write a letter to the Quadrator right away to express my support for your coronation and explain our situation. Satisfied, I let out a sigh of relief. I thank you for your support, High Priest Robert. It means a lot to me. Swiftly, I opened one of the desk drawers and pulled out a thin, sealed letter. While I was waiting for you, I humbly wrote a few words destined for the Quadrator. Okay, is this dating with a detective? I have no idea. Dating some min. Okay, is this dating with a detective genre? Dating some min. So I think it has a side of both of them, and that could possibly be the key points here. But from the description when I went onto their Steam page, it looks like our gameplay is supposed to be spent trying to network ourselves while also trying to build up our empire as well. Essentially, that's like the name of the game, is what I've been told. Alright, so going back to this. We've never met, and I hope this would help him get to know me a little, as well as reassure him of my faith in the Four. I was thinking that perhaps you would be so kind to add it to your own correspondence? Once more, he seemed to be caught off guard, but he smiled instantly, enthusiastically. Of course, Your Majesty. It's a great idea. Relieved, I gave him the letter in question, while thanking him once more for his support and his help in these unprecedented times. That makes sense. Yeah. I only hoped he didn't have the audacity to break the seal, because even if it did contain a few cliches on my virtues, the letter mostly made promises that could actually motivate the quadrator. Okay, so our letter contains something akin to probably either a threat or a promise. Alright, having always known that I'd need his support one day, I had used the few resources at my disposal to observe him closely, and I had learned something that could stain his reputation. Yeah, I feel like this is what we're gonna want. We're blackmailing him. We're just gonna blackmail him. I'm not... unless I absolutely have to, I kind of want to stay away from, money at the moment. Alright. Crud. Okay, sorry, I had to clear my throat, so a lot of times if I'm able to mute that before doing it, it's usually a better idea. Okay, so indeed I had discovered he was responsible of a death, a woman who worked in Meriden's Great Temple. I would have liked something a little more concrete, because from what I had been told, even if he was directly responsible through negligence, it wasn't a plot that would make the crowds go wild. Only the fact that she was a woman of faith played in my favor and explained why they had wanted to conceal the incident in the first place. Interesting. Okay. At least I had gathered enough details to make him believe I was an exceedingly well-informed person. Yep, blackmail the best decision. Yes, it is. When in doubt, blackmail the person. Actually, I do not condone that at all. IRL. Do not condone that, but for game purposes, let's go. Alright. I had gathered enough details to make him believe I was an exceedingly well-informed person. Okay. I was certain that the desire to preserve his reputation, along with the proof of my knowledge, would be enough to convince him. To play with a man as powerful as the Quadrator, and I wasn't talking about his possible connection to the gods, but his actual worldly power, was a risky move, but it was all worth it. The dice had been cast. I could only hope for things to go well and prepare the field for my conquest of the Chaldean nobility. Day 8. It's the same day! It's the same day! Ah! Okay, despite my desire to act for the time being, I couldn't do anything but wait for the Quadrator's answer. I feel like I am butchering this beyond belief, but I am trying. Even if the letter had left that very morning, Meriden was far away, and I knew I couldn't hope for an answer for at least 3 days. Excuse me. I had to chop at the bit and act naive. My first thought was to mingle with the court so I could clear my head, but then, pretending that nothing was up and feeding rumors to justify my father's absence, was more frustrating than doing nothing. Even Marjorie's present. Blackmail in Minecraft. Even Marjorie's presence irritated me despite her advanced age. As soon as she turned her inquisitive eyes onto me, I had the impression she managed to perceive the truth. Okay, so Marjorie is our tutor from way back. We haven't met them yet in person. Or if they're even still alive. I don't even know if they're still alive. Okay, but continuing on. And so, I had taken refuge in the library, hoping to read a little, but in all honesty, even if I had managed to unscramble a few words, my thoughts were far away, and my mind was replaying the events of the previous night. Asking myself again and again if I had done the right thing. Your Grace. And the Master murmurs, "Hello, sir," again. As if he suddenly realized where we were, the Master murmurs repeated his interjection in a lower, albeit just as zealous tone. You broke into a library and started shouting. Why? Do you not take in the room first? And what? I mean, he did retract the statement and then try going a little bit quieter, but still, words are essentially toothpaste coming from a bottle. You can't just take them back. All right. Your Grace, we have an urgent problem on our hands. This preamble was enough to make me abandon my boring reading, and I put down my book, ensuring there weren't any indiscreet ears in the library before I invite him to continue. After he also made sure no one else was around, he pulled back his hood and resumed his explanations. As you know, I've asked to keep an eye on the 3 people aware of your father's death. However, barely 24 hours have passed and I have been told that the maid immediately went to a noble, the Baron Torben of Levois, instead of leaving town. Are you really? Just behead. Behead at this point. Okay. I conducted an investigation. I'm almost positive the 2 are in a relationship. I've interrogated her colleagues who confirm that she's had a rich benefactor for a few months already, and everything hints at his name. I didn't really care about my servant's romantic endeavors, but I wanted to know where he was going with this. Are you afraid she'll speak? Yes, and I'm afraid that the Baron will want to use that information to glean more power. Yeah, that's usually a thing that happens. No, why? Okay. Yeah, I tried being nice, and apparently now I can't be nice, so, no, I'm joking. Okay, let's just see where this goes. Alright. Is he trying to blackmail us? No, we've had nothing of the sort, but tonight he's holding a party to which half the nobles currently in the capital are invited. That cannot be a coincidence. No event justifies for such a party to be improvised. It's improper. I admit the situation is very odd, but do we have any proof? Unfortunately, no, Majesty. Only suspicions. I took in a few deep breaths while I pondered the situation and calculated the risks. If these allegations happen to be true, I would be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Not only would my plan to gain time fail utterly, but everyone would know of my deception. Moreover, if she didn't speak, now that I knew of this maid's allegiance, I wasn't sure if it was a good idea to give her a better position down the line. That would give her more opportunities to spy on me for the Baron. What are our options? There aren't many, Your Majesty. Either we do nothing and wait to see what happens while preparing to counteract possible rumors, or we have them both assassinated to limit any risk of leaks. But the Baron is an influential man. There are far fewer chances of his death passing unnoticed than that of a simple servant. Tired, I massaged my temples to help me think about the best course of action in this situation. Death was most definitely the best way to stop someone from talking, but the reason I wanted to avoid such methods in the first place was because they disgusted me, and they could well have unwelcome repercussions for me. Would allying myself with the Baron be a possibility? It's true that this information would give him power, but not as much as having an Empress owe him a favor. I think it could work, but do you really want to start your rule indebted to such an ambitious man? It was indeed the risk. I could always double-cross him once the danger had passed, but that would undeniably have after effects. Do we have an idea of what we want, of what he wants? I'd like to know what I'm getting myself into. If I had a few days, I would have been able to tell you, but I can't answer you in time for the party. Sighing once more, I closed my eyes to better contemplate my options. So we have a few options. 1. When one plays, one must expect to lose. I'm ready to accept the consequences of my actions, even if it won't be easy. I'm afraid trying to fix things will only make them worse, and I don't want to fall into such a vicious cycle. I'll wait to see what happens. We should prepare the best we can for what is to come. So that's a free option. Or, I despise having to resort to a solution, but because the servant hasn't been trustworthy, I don't have much of a choice. Have them murdered before tonight and make sure this can't be traced back to me. Otherwise, consequences would be even more disastrous. And right now, what matters most is to solve this issue. If the Baron demands more than he is owed after all is said and done, we'll decide what to do with him. but he might behave reasonably, which would mark the start of a fruitful alliance. We won't know until we try. We at least have to attempt to reason with them. Okay, so either death or reasoning are my two options, because I'm not doing this one. I'm not gonna sit back and watch. Like, we have to do something, essentially. I think they are right. If we end up trying to get the Baron off, potentially we could have backlash. And we're not even on the throne yet, people, so let's see if we can deal with reason. If not, I'd like to share your optimism, Your Grace, but the Baron of Lavois never seemed a reasonable man to me. Well, in any case, I bend to your will. Since Advisor Alden is more adept at this sort of negotiations, I will inform him and let him lead the discussions. Nevertheless, I'll stay at the ready in case the Baron refuses to listen to reason. Yeah, if he refuses to listen, we'll have to, take further measures. Yay. Very well, I'm counting on you. The Master of Murmurs gave me an elegant bow and departed, leaving me alone once more with doubts gnawing at my mind. I waited for the end of the day, with more nervousness than usual, unable to concentrate, fearing the arrival of the Master of Murmurs as much as I'd hoped for it. Okay, it is still day 8 and nighttime. Okay, hello, Alden. Hello. It was already late when Alden knocked on my door to inform me of the evolution of the situation. I was convinced a man like the Baron would be in favor of some arrangement, but there were so many things that could go wrong. Your Grace, I've spoken to the Baron of Lavois, who turned out to be quite stingy with his information. To my greatest shame, I'm unable to tell you what he knows exactly. He remained very vague on the subject, but he clearly hinted at having information that could harm you. I did as you wished and suggested that if he supports your ascension to the throne, he'll have your eternal gratitude. He accepted it in principle, but he seemed to doubt that you intend to uphold your side of the bargain. He's asking for a guarantee. A guarantee? Alden nodded with a sigh. He wants a document written and signed by your hand to make this alliance official. I couldn't blame him for doubting my honor. After all, I had considered breaking my promise if the price to pay for upholding it was too high, but what he asked me was impossible. I can't do that. That would mean admitting to my schemes. At the moment, all he's got is the word of a servant, and no proof that I'm directly involved. I won't hand it to him on a silver platter. I wholeheartedly agree with you, but those are his terms. Exasperated, I took in a deep breath before grabbing a sheet of paper and some ink from my desk. I'll write him a letter in which I declare that I owe him a favor for services rendered, without giving any details. This should be enough to prove my goodwill, and if it doesn't suit him, it means deep down he never wanted to commit to this arrangement in the first place. We won't have any choice, then, but to use your methods. Very well, Majesty, I'll bring it to him right away. Thank you, Alden. I'm sorry to use you as a courier. It's beneath you. He gave a amused laugh. Oh, you'd be surprised, Majesty. This has often been my exact role. Oh, oof. Okay. I dozed off, seated at my desk, when someone knocked on my door once more and I woke up with a start. So Alden, how did it go? He seemed he had spent hours on the task, which was rather worrisome, but he had come back without the letter I had written. He accepted this compromise. For the time being, he doesn't want anything in particular, but I trust him to let us know when he's ready to claim his favor. And the party? It must be in full swing at this time of night. I don't know if his main goal was to harm you, but in any case, he had another excuse ready. He announced his engagement to a noble from Vargas, Dame Lilia of Valentum. I nodded with a sigh. I didn't know when this would all come back to bite me again, but at least the situation was under control. Foreshadowing? Maybe? Thank you for your help, Alden. My pleasure, Your Grace. We'll continue to keep a close eye on him, but you can relax for now. Smiling, I nodded, aware that I was in dire need of sleep after so many strong emotions. Alright. Oh, okay, so we're just skipping days. Alright. Day 10, everybody. Day 10 of spring. Your Grace, this is a little premature, but you should become Empress. You will need to manage the kingdom's policies. I'd like to make sure that you're ready for such a task. Oh, but should you become an Empress? Okay, so one can always learn more. Play through the tutorial or skip the tutorial. One can always learn more. As you already know, the kingdom's policies influence how your subjects, noble or otherwise, view you, but also what resources will be available to us. You can set tax rates for the people and the nobility. As you may have guessed, the higher they are, the less happy the people will be, but the faster the coffers will fill up. Okay. But there are many other things much more subtle. For example, you can decide how open to trade our borders should be, or which sectors of the economy you'd like to focus on. We must also consider how to protect ourselves from our neighbors, especially bearing in mind Vargas's warlike inclinations. Maintaining an army is very, very expensive. As such, investigating in diplomacy may offer better results in the long run. And finally, we have to manage the priests. Their influence on the people is immense, and they have infrastructures all over the nation. Offerings made to them are never wasted. We've set up regular periods of time during which we collect earnings, but there will be a short delay before the consequences of any changes you make can be seen. The story alternates with phases of gameplay which are triggered between two scenes. During these phases, you will be able, among other things, to modify your kingdom's general policies. Gains will be distributed at the end of the gameplay phase. Is that clearer now? Yes. Yes, even if it's all very theoretical. That's true, but the best way to approach the subject is a more concrete manner is to look into yourself. Even if I'll only be doing this work after my coronation, may I try my hand at it now? I'm sure there are things that I'd like to change in my father's policies. Okay, so the people will understand and you'll receive a moderate amount of money, which is fine. We do low. The people will be happy, but you'll earn little money. And if we do high, the people will be angry, but money will flow endlessly. Moderate. We'll just do moderate. Okay, I am not... Technically, how long is the game? Because from what I hear now, the game is at least 20-50 hours long. So, this is a demo. I don't know how long this is going to take us, but I'm gonna guess that's probably going to take us about a couple hours or so. Hopefully not too long. Okay. Let's... If we do free, what does that do? Foreign traders can freely come and sell and buy in Caladia, or a small tax is levied on products traded between countries. And then +1 money, but -5 mo. I feel like we kind of need nobility at this point. Let's see. You will send at least one ambassador to each neighboring country. And then, or we can do... You'll send a full delegation to all neighboring countries, which +5 is nobility. Okay. Yeah. Maintain. Dismantle. Your armed forces will be reduced, but they will be cheaper to maintain. Or you'll recruit new soldiers to expand your army. Oh geez, okay. Your economy will be focused on the exploitation of raw resources. Your economy will be focused on agriculture and food production. What? -5 people. Or you'll focus on craftsmanship, especially luxurious items. And I was just brought tea. Yay! Okay. I say let's leave everything the way that is right now. Figure out how this game goes, and if we need to change it, I think we're able to at some point. Because I'm not losing the people's trust here. I don't know what things are gonna look like money-wise. Because the people will understand and you'll receive a moderate amount of money. And oh wait. Your economy focused on agriculture and food production. Okay, I would like to gain the people's favor without also why can we not choose who we tax? Like, that's something I would love to do for this game. Like, if we're able to create a system where we tax the nobility and then give, like, cuts to the people, I feel like that would be more like an equal trade-off, essentially. Like, yes, you'd be losing favor with nobility, but at the same token, you'd also be gaining the people's favor as well. And then you have the situation of ants versus crickets. You focus more on the ants because that's more people to you, that's more people in your favor. Then the crickets are just like, oh, money, 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 and they're just like, but no. Like, I feel like that shows off, like, what type of person that would be. Okay, but I think let's keep things like this. Yeah, because this is losing faith with our people. That's with our nobility. So let's do this one. Alright. That sounds most excellent to me. Okay, so we got +2, +1. Alright, we're getting a lot of stuff here. Dawn had barely risen when I heard the kerfuffle at the door, and I immediately recognized Robert's voice. I got up with a groan and quickly slipped on a dress, trying to make myself presentable before opening the door. High Priest, what's going on? I tried to remain as neutral as possible, but I was burning up with a mix of anxiety and excitement because I had a solid guess as to what this was about. The Quadrator, he answered, Your Majesty. Nervous, he handed me 2 letters bearing the recognizable seal of His Holiness. Your name is written on them. I didn't dare open them, Your Highness. Exhilarated, I looked at the 2 pieces of paper that were about to seal my future. One seemed official, while the other was explicitly for my eyes only. I would like to be alone when reading them both, but clearly it had taken Robert all he had not to break the wax seal on the official letter, and he now stared at me impatiently. My throat was dry as I grabbed a paper cutter to open the correspondence, and my heart was beating so fast I had the impression everyone in the room could hear it. Oh boy. Lady Scarlet of Terranfell, daughter of Magnus V of Terranfell the Fierce, Emperor of Chaldea. The 4 have spoken and have recognized you as the legitimate heir of the crown of Chaldea, by virtue of your blood and despite your gender. By this decree I convey the word of the gods, may your governance be respected by all the just and the pious. May your rule prosper and never stray from the forest faith. Vermeer Quadrator by the grace of the 4. I was shaking so hard I felt my legs give in. I had to sit on my bed so I didn't fall over. I had done everything in my power to make this moment happen, but now that it was upon me... Hold on. But now it was upon me, I was engulfed by all the emotions I had accumulated in the past week. But in the time, the noble won't have enough power to govern the people, and also the noble that control those regions don't have a job because they put money in the people to make them living better. I mean, fair, but at the same token, I feel like a lot of it's about greed at that point. Dang it. I love how I can't figure out how to open my own thermos right now. There we go. There we go. It's opened. Yay. Oh. Not bad. Not bad. That's my first time making a blend like that. Okay. At least that's what I see, but I think it wrote it wrong, but don't know when it's not that deep. I mean, honestly, Betty, you could very well be right. I honestly have no idea. I'm just here to play the game. I don't know. Like, to me, I kind of make a reference over to, if you know anything about United States history, then there was a point, and I think it was before Reagan, one of our presidents had ended up deciding to use the tax the rich and cut taxes for the poor. And essentially what ended up happening was the economy actually was better that way, but because the rich wanted more money, it's suspected that there was some stuff that happened, and the laws were ended up changing again under a different president to favor the rich over the people. Okay, so I had done everything in my power to make this moment happen, but now that it was upon me, I was engulfed by all the emotions I had accumulated in the past week. Robert seemed to understand me, and he bowed to leave me a few long seconds so I could take in the Quadrator's words. Finally, he spoke up. That's marvelous, Your Majesty. I knew the four would acknowledge our legitimacy. Almost timidly, I nodded and tried to recover my usual composure. With the Quadrator's support, my coronation was sure to happen, but that didn't mean I was rid of enemies or other contenders. I couldn't let my guard down yet. Yes, the time has come for everyone to know the truth. Gather the nobles in the castle at dawn and prepare the pigeons. He nodded, a grave expression on his face. So we were literally just waiting for the Quadrator this entire time. Okay. Yes, we can't wait any longer. The secret of my father's death couldn't have been kept indefinitely in any case. I see, maybe it works. It was true that his absence had been going on for a while, and possible illness worried people just as much as possible death. I mean, from what I understood, it was working. I think it was just a whole money talks situation. That's what happened, and that's why things weren't the way that people wanted them to be, essentially. But like I said, I could be wrong or I could be misremembering something, but I think if you Google it up, you would probably see, I think if you look up trickle-down economics versus taxing the rich economics and see which one works better, and I think a lot of people found that if you tax the rich and then let the people get tax breaks, everybody seems to a little bit more fairly at some point. Oh, sorry. I needed tea, not water, because like my throat. I have been reading novels this entire week, essentially. This is the most I've used my voice, actually. At least for gaming, from my understanding. Because it's like, you're just constantly reading, constantly talking. Okay, it was fortunate that these letters hadn't taken too long to arrive. I'll be there. I need to finish getting ready. Yeah, we also need to open that secret letter to figure out what happened. Of course, Your Majesty. I'll have the bells rung, but at such an early time, I don't suppose we can gather everyone in less than an hour. I approve with a polite nod, and as soon as I watched him leave and close the door. Finally on my own! I collapsed in the bed and let myself gloat. I whooped in pure childish joy as I read the Quadrator's letter over and over again. You know we have another one, right? Right? I knew that I had plenty of challenges ahead of me, but this was my first victory against traditions, and I intended to savor it for as long as I could. Only after a few long minutes had passed, I decided to open the second letter, which was addressed to me, personally. Lady Scarlet of Terranfell, be aware that your threats cannot shake the faith that the believers have in me. Only my wish to preserve them from potentially bloody conflicts has guided my decision not to be offended by your contemptible lies and to support you despite them. Keep in mind, nonetheless, that I don't appreciate these methods and that you have made yourself a dangerous enemy. Lady Scarlet, one cannot defy the four with impunity. Okay, so he basically just said, okay, so we can't shake the faith. So the threats cannot shake the faith that the believers have in him, but he is wanting to preserve the. But he's wanting to avoid bloody conflicts. Okay. I got up with a sigh and held the parchment over a candle long enough for it to catch fire before throwing it to the cold fireplace. The thing is, I don't. Okay. The thing I don't understand is how to determine what rich means. Is it procents? Like if you make so and so in a month, then you're categorized as rich. Yeah. So it's basically your annual income. That's how everything is decided. If you make X amount of money, you get into like a certain bracket, and then if you're in that bracket, that's how your taxes are decided, essentially. So, for example, if you make about 15,000 a year, you basically get like 20% of that check taken from you. And then if you make like 500, let's put 500,000, then you get like 50% of that taken, essentially. Ideally, it would go based off like what you make and such. So the more you make, reasonably, the more you would end up getting taken out your paycheck. Yeah, exactly. But that's, last I knew, it's not the way that works currently, even though it really should. Personal opinion. Alright. Going back to our game, I had expected a reaction that sorts. I just prefer not to leave behind more traces of my methods than necessary. Needless to say, I didn't regret a thing. Even if he acted unconcerned, I fully believed that my threats had helped sway him. Now it was the core I had to sway, and I knew this wasn't going to be an easy task. Yeah, because I'm guessing trying to persuade a whole group of people is harder than trying to persuade a few. Oh, and this is day 18. Alright. So, make sure not to overexert yourself, Scarlet. You're spending your days locked up in this office. You should get out a bit to clear your head. Come take a walk with this old lady. Is this Marjorie? Is this Marjorie? I had left the door open, and although I hadn't heard Marjorie... Yep. This is Marjorie. This is our old tutor. Okay, I heard Marjorie come over to me. I wasn't surprised, since her perfume, which she applied too liberally, had filled the room. I almost felt nostalgic for a moment. Contrary to what she seemed to suggest, I wasn't here for pleasure. I was overwhelmed. Invitations, salutations, promises. I'd spent the last 3 days flattering Chaldean nobility to ensure that nothing would interfere with the coronation in 3 weeks' time, and I still had a lot to do. Oh, perhaps you can fool everyone else, but I know you're far from being an old lady, Marjorie. My reply made her laugh, a hoarse and joyous sound that bellied what I had just said. Oh, I still have the same quick wit I had when I was 20, but I'm afraid my whining bones disagree with you, sweetheart. Come on, don't be cruel. You already broke my poor heart when you didn't let me in on the secret. I put my quill down with a sigh and closed the inkwell, hoping its content would not dry out. She had taught me many things, and even if I had grown stronger than her in a few areas, it was obvious that she still used guilt like no one else. She almost made me feel bad for hiding my father's death from her. Almost. You know full well I didn't have a choice. The information had to be disclosed to as few people as possible. Do you think Marjorie is the mother? I doubt it. At the beginning of this, they made it as if Marjorie was basically just the suitor. Or not suitor, tutor. There you go. So I think she was our instructor at one point and was just kept around. Potentially. That is my guess. I don't even know what happened to our mother, if we even had one at some point. Anyway, going back to the game. You know full well I didn't have a choice. The information had to be disclosed to as few people as possible. I know, sweetheart, but I would have liked to be there for you. These past few days mustn't have been easy. No, they weren't indeed. As promised, I quietly walked by Marjorie's side through the garden, but we wouldn't take one step before some servant or noble offered me their condolences. I'm so tired of pretending to be sad. I know your father was a flawed man. She paused, looking at me as she seemed to hesitate to say something. I looked at her, intrigued. There was so much contempt in her voice when she spoke of his flaws that she obviously knew something about him. Something I probably didn't. But no matter what anyone says, he was your family, your blood. We didn't like our dad. We didn't like our dad. Why are you keeping things from us, Marjorie? Marjorie! You shouldn't hate him like that. It's not healthy, especially now that he's dead. I sensed from her tone that I'd get nothing more from her, at least not today. And I didn't insist, draping myself once again in my indignity. Boo, I want tea. Give me the tea. I'll have to drink my own tea. Okay. No, that's too easy. You can't just die and expect that all your mistakes will be forgiven. Huh? What'd I say? It's not as I predicted. Okay, here's the thing. We are essentially, as far as we're concerned, we're the only legitimate heir, though. So I have to believe that our mother was actually the queen, and our father was the actual king. So that's the only thing I got going right now. But I know we already know that the king was sleeping around because there's other kids that are involved. We do have half brothers essentially that was offered that they could take on the throne, but even our character was like, yeah, no, they'd be puppets essentially for my cousins, so I'm not giving him anybody that favor. Marjorie, it's not as if he chose to die, and so it doesn't change anything. She sighed, and I decided to change the subject. But no, I agree, man. There's more going on than what we realize, and I'm not doubting that one. I'm not doubting that one for one bit. There's more going on than what we realize. She sighed, and I decided to change the subject before I had to listen to another lecture on the importance of family bonds. Oh, I feel that way too much. Okay. But since we're speaking of forgiveness, I need your help. Suspicious, she frowned, although she kept walking calmly between the flower beds. I would like it if you gave me a fricastil. A fricastil. What is this? That old dilapidated fortress? What for? Oh, we're asking for a building? Pretending to admire some insects that were flying around the planters, I hesitated for a second. I needed the fortress to buy the Farin's loyalty, but Marjorie held a deep hatred for them. Oh no. Okay. I didn't like lying to her, but I couldn't run the risk of that she'd refuse my request. Oh, this was our childhood tutor. I feel like if we gotta be honest with somebody. We might as well be honest with her. I feel like we can probably trust her at this point. Tell her the truth even if she won't like it. I need it because I'm going to give it back to Faram. Upon hearing my words, Marjorie froze, trembling with anger. You want to give it back to those vile traitors? Do you know how many men died storming it? Do you know what this fortress cost me? I knew she would react that way, even though the war has ended about 20 years ago. She still bore painful memories of it. Well, I didn't know that! What the heck is wrong with us? Okay. Yes, I know all that, but it took place before my birth. It's time we move forward and reconcile with the Farum, lest we repeat the mistakes of the past. I don't want another Farum revolt under my rule. I need their support for my coronation, and to obtain that support I need Vercastel. You know just as well as I do that it's only a ruin now, an old pile of rubble left on steep and barren land. It's nothing more than a symbol. Okay, so the place is run down. It's not like anybody's using it. Okay. My old aunt grumbled for oh, so she's our aunt. She's our aunt, essentially. So I'm guessing that makes her a baroness. Yes, the childhood torture potential mother. Okay, my old aunt grumbled for a few long minutes, but she was forced to concede my point, even if it cost her. So this is our aunt, actually, not potential mother. Is my guess. Unless for some reason there was a trade-off. Like, that has happened in a TV show, I think, where the character thought that someone was their mom, but it turns out that their aunt was actually their mom. I can't remember what show that's from. I think it was Friends? It was like in a Friends episode, maybe? Okay. Do what you want, but believe me, once you become Empress, I'll call in that favor. Thank you, Marjorie. I knew I could count on you. Relieved, I finally let out the breath I hadn't realized I had been holding. Knowing the affection Marjorie held for me, I knew that I'd end up convincing her. But as I had a meeting with the Farum heir in 4 days, I didn't have a lot of room for errors. With one less issue weighing on my heart, I continued my walk with a bounce in my step, forgetting for a few minutes the court's problems and plots. Not torture, I meant tutor. Yes, the childhood tutor potential mother. Okay. Now that makes more sense. I was confused for a hot minute. Alright. Nope, you are totally good, Beta. Alright, so let's see. Going back to our game. Spring! Day 22. We're jumping ahead. Who are you? Oh, you're probably the heir, I'm guessing. This was my first time ever meeting Theodore of Farum. I had heard him described as a cold and distant man, but I still didn't expect him to be so glacial. Cold and distant, yeah, he looks like a glacier. I mean, fair. The guy is really wearing the colors of ice over here. You might as well be a glacier, buddy. You might as well be a glacier. I waited for him to Diane replied to my greeting. What does that mean? Diane? D-E-I-G-N. Okay. What does this word mean? What does this word mean before I keep reading? Hold up. D-E-I-G-N. Okay, Diane. Do something that one considers to be beneath one's dignity. Okay, so I waited for him to wait. Okay, I am trying to figure out. Okay, phone shush. Dane, that's how you pronounce it. I waited for him to deign reply to my greeting as courtesy demanded, but the silence between us was deafening. He only stood there, staring at me impassive, without even so much as a good morning or a nice to meet you, while I had to keep smiling not to lose faith. Nope, not design. It's hold on. It's Dane. So Dane, it's to stoop or be condescending. Those are the similar words. He deigned an apology, essentially. So, not a misspelling, it is yep. Really, there's a word like that? I thought that they just misspelled it. Yeah, no, there's an actual word like that. Where's the more you know meme? Here, like, hold on. I wish I had emojis. Here. The more you know. The more you know meme goes here. There we go. Restream. The more you know meme goes here. There you go. And that got sent to Discord, YouTube, and Twitch. Yay! Oh, there's still like a bit of a... Okay, there's still like a bit of a backlash. Alright. Alright. Going back to this... Why are you still a freaking piece of ice? I don't like this. You mean? I already don't like you, but at the same token, there was a 20-year war that we were probably both born before. Or, then we were born after that war ended. Anyway. I had better things to do than engage in a staring contest. Consequently, I swallowed my pride and gestured to one of the chairs around the staff table, where a large map of Caladia had been laid out. I imagine you must be tired after such a long trip. Please sit down. I thought he was going to stay standing there, but he did finally sit down without another word, while I took a seat not too far from him. Like I said in my letter, I'd like for... Yes, exactly. Like I said in my letter, I'd like for the Terranfell and the Farum to reconcile. The tensions between our two families have lasted long enough, and I imagine your son's desire to make peace has nothing to do with your upcoming coronation. The Montilet are eating out of your hand, but the Voldor will never support you, which means you very much need us. Yes, exactly here. So, coming as he was from a lineage with a somewhat barbaric reputation, he had done a fairly clever analysis of the situation. But I didn't let that stop me. Very much need is a bit strong. Should I remind you that I have the support of the Order and by extension the Four? The people will follow me. That said, I do wish for my coronation to go as smoothly as possible, and the rest of my rule as well. I'd like to avoid bloodshed altogether, if possible, and I fear that the ancestral enmity between our two families might lead us to just that. Neither you nor I were born when the Ferrum revolt took place. It's up to us to decide if we want to perpetrate this cycle of conflict, or if we want to build something new. He took on a thoughtful expression and observed me with renewed interest. It's easy for you to forget. You're on the side of the victors. You haven't been rehashing your resentment for 20 years. Precisely. Wouldn't it be easier for you to forget as well, especially if it's been haunting you for that long? Oh, interesting. I mean, okay. This is interesting. This is definitely an interesting way to go about it, because on one hand, you're appealing to be the side of the loser, but telling them to just forgive and forget. I feel like some acknowledgement needs to go there. Like, have a little bit more empathy for that. Because that doesn't seem apathetic. It's basically just mom saying, oh no, you spilled your milk. Well, you're not getting another one, so, cry a river, build a bridge, get over it. That's sort of what that sounds like. Sorry. Alright. So moving on, even if we were inclined to consider your offer of a reconciliation, I don't think so, but maybe you can forget the core principle. Okay, but what was the core principle is my question here, because it might be, if that's what's being asked, to forget the core principle and just have peace for the sake of peace, yeah, I could understand that one. I can understand having the peace for the sake of peace. What I can't understand is trying to basically tell the loser to stop crying after you basically just stole their piece of pie. Like, imagine it's you and your friend, and you just stole your friend's piece of pie, and now you have your own pie, and now your friend is crying over that piece of pie, essentially. And also, if you've read my messages, think it like 1 or 2 minutes in the past. Oh, and also, if you read my messages, think it like 1 or 2 minutes in the past. Okay, yeah. So 1 or 2 minutes in the past, and then your messages become relevant. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I still have no idea what's going on with that latency. I don't know what else I can do to fix that latency. Alright. Going back to the game, because I feel like we've kind of strayed away from it a little bit. Even if we were... Yes, I agree. Even if we were inclined to consider your offer of reconciliation, how could we trust you? I won't give you a history lesson, but that revolt didn't happen for nothing. He was following me exactly where I was leading, and it took me some effort to repress a smile and keep a business-like countenance? Countenance. I'm learning new words here, everybody. Alright, firstly, I'm not the same person as my father or my grandfather. It's unfair to distrust me as a result of their actions. Hey, Deadeye, I thought you were streaming. Like, did you not start your stream at like 3:30? Because I did get a notification that you were live like half an hour ago. But anyway, how are you doing? Like, you're welcome here all the same. I'm just curious. I was just rated via YouTube and Twitch. Ah, okay. Alright. Well, welcome everybody from the Deadeye raid then. Grab a seat. I have tea. We're getting in the middle of a novel. And that's pretty much all I got right now. So sit back, enjoy as we take on our reign of being the Empress as our horrible, horrible father just died to the point of our character hates our father. And secondly, I'm ready to make a gesture of goodwill. It is if the Farum are ready to make one as well. I'm listening. If you openly support my ascent to the throne, I'm ready to return your family, the Fircastle, Citadel, and the lands that go with it. This time, I savored the true surprise in his eyes when I handed him the deed I had taken the time to prepare. As you know, it was confiscated after the revolt, since it's located at a strategic crossroads between Terranfell and Montelet. I thought it would be a strong gesture to return it to you, but also quite a symbol of trust. After glancing over the signed pledge, Theodore looked at me once more with defiance this time. There's no doubt that my family will appreciate the gesture. I was already basking in my victory when he continued, his voice cold. But as for me, it only makes me see that you're one of those politicians ready to use every dirty trick in the book if it will give you what you want. Ooh! Cold! Ow! Brr! Okay. Well, we were just... alright. Part of me, I feel like we kind of got called out. Other part of me is like, how dare you? Because we're trying to be nice. Tea is what it's all about. Did you end up playing Humans Fall Flat before this one, or no? Since when does Humans Fall Flat have anything to do with this? Tea is what it's all about. Did you end up playing Humans Fall Flat before this one, or no? I had thought of joining, but choose wisely festival and all that. No, okay. Deadeye? You need to go back to the Discord. Who's already made a comment? Deadeye, go back to the Discord! Go back to the Discord! Yeah, no, we were talking about playing that, and we were, I want to focus on this game. But no, that's gonna be, this coming Friday, or next Friday. Not today, next week. And that is, yeah, right? Because we were all taking a break because of the Choose Wisely event, so that was gonna be... Unless I misinterpret something? Yeah, no, Friday, December 19th at 2 o'clock. That's the Human Fall Flat thing. Ah, I see. Yes, the 19th. Yep. Okay, I'm going back to this game. We're finishing this game. This is a demo. Okay, but as for me, it only makes me see that you're one of those politicians ready to use every dirty trick in the book if it'll give you what you want. Yeah, I already don't like this guy. You see this? I already don't like this Ice Cube. He's mean. We don't like the Ice Cube. Go away, Ice Cube. I have been warned that you're the rightful heir of that snake who used to lead the Montelet, but now I'm seeing it with my own eyes. So yes, indeed, we will accept your offer and support your coronation. Because unlike you, we stick to our word, but you should know you're not fooling me. I'll remain at the palace to make sure you don't stab us in the back as soon as you've achieved your goals. We didn't even talk about stabbing in the back. Like, that wasn't even brought up. In the end, his analysis of the situation, or indeed of my character, wasn't as clever as I had thought. Yeah, no, it wasn't, because we were trying to be nice about this. I was ambitious, there was no denying that. I wasn't shy about it either, but my desire to make peace was just as sincere. Stay at the castle if you wish. Dukes are welcome here at any time, but you will get eaten alive by the court if you always speak your mind so plainly, my lord. He shrugged condescendingly before getting up. Oh, I am very capable of defending myself, Majesty. I just choose not to use the same venom as you do. That doesn't mean I don't know how to protect myself from its sting. I still don't like you. Mr. Ice Cube. Theodore D. Farum, Mr. Ice Cube Man. You're just now Mr. Ice Cube Man at this point. Ice Cube. Ice Cube Man. Okay, no one liked being called a snake, but even if it was unpleasant to be treated as such hostility by someone to whom I had never done anything, I had gotten what I wanted. I didn't wish to risk making him change his mind by starting an argument. Time will tell. I do hope you'll change your mind about me, but as long as the Farum uphold their end of the bargain, you're free to think whatever you like. Don't say that as if you're doing me a favor, Your Grace. Even empresses don't have dominion over people's thoughts. Yeah, goodbye, Ice Cube. Good day to you. Goodbye. And in order to keep me from having the last word of our pointless sparring, he immediately turned on his heel and slammed the door. You literally came in here, acted like an ice cube, and proceeded to slam the door shut. I'm sorry, I didn't know I was speaking to a child, apparently. I'm sorry, like, to me that's just... Are you kidding? Like, to me that just sounded childish. That just sounded so childish. Like, what the heck? I am sure this character will get redeemed at some point, but as of right now, we have a child Ice Cube in the room. Okay, Furious was engaged in deep breathing exercises when Alden walked in. How did things go with Theater of Farum? I shrugged with a sigh. I suppose it was alright. At least the Farum should support my coronation. That's all that matters. How about you? Did you manage to convince Leon? As you suspected, he's not inclined to support you. Apparently he and his brother fear that Khalidia will become a second Assyria. Base fish. Okay, so apparently Mr. Ice Cube is a tsundere. I could see that. I could definitely see that. Like I said, he could potentially get redeemed through the entire novel, but at the moment it's just Ice Cube Man. I don't like the Ice Cube Man. The Ice Cube Man is very mean. We don't like him. And until he proves otherwise, that is my thought. I raised my eyes to the sky, not hiding my exasperation at these words, as if it were enough for a woman to lead the Empire for us to become a matriarchy. Have you at least convinced him not to openly oppose the coronation? Yes, as you suggested, I implied that a civil war wouldn't be good for business, and that you were easy to manipulate. Alright, lie at the guy's face. Okay, I see what it is. Was that enough? Yes and no. The man's smarter than I thought. He took this as an opportunity to claim the position of treasurer. I'm sorry, what? What? What do you mean the guy is wanting to become our treasurer? Okay. Treasurer? Look at him go. Since he believes you're incompetent, he thinks that the only way for him to ensure that the country stays on the right track and that the Volder's economical interests are preserved. Upset, I bit my lips while I pondered the implications of such a nomination. Why is everybody asking so much from me? I just got here. I just got here. Why? I need a sip of tea. Okay. Alright. I didn't want him to stand in my way at every council meeting, but there was no valid reason for me to refuse him this privilege either. The fact that he had the audacity to ask, like, that's literally, that's like basically some random person showing up in my comments section going like, hey, I want to be a moderator, make me a moderator, and then me just giving them the position. That is exactly what this is. Good grief. Not everybody has the ability to be a moderator. They're there for reasons. Just like certain people have certain positions for reasons. Because they're qualified. Because they had earned the ability to do so. Not because they just decide to show up one day and say, hey, I want to do this and I'll keep supporting you. That's not how this works. This is not how this works. Okay. I imagine before asking for that position, he encouraged the current treasurer to retire. Before asking for that position, he encouraged the current treasurer to retire? That's correct. A pretty house by the seaside is waiting for him, and now he can't wait to be gone. I imagine we don't have a choice then. I'll summon Leon tomorrow and pretend to have a naive ingenue who's happy to let him take on big responsibilities. Okay, but if he's the treasurer, how in tarnation do you plan on going above him? I have questions. I want to see this get played out. Okay. I sighed heavily and Alden stepped towards me with a discreetly amused smile. Are you sure you'll manage? Manage? Playing the easily influenced ingenue. I sighed, offering him a reassuring smile. It would not be fun having tea with such a conservative man, but there was nothing insurmountable about it. Oh, don't worry about me. I can play dumb when I need to. I spent my whole life appearing less dangerous than I really am. I should be able to pretend, just this once. He might have some nasty surprises down the line, however. He nodded with a gleam of pride in his eyes. I trust you then. Ooh boy, alright, day 25, spring. Your Grace, news of your nomination to the throne has spread quickly. We received a letter addressed to you from the Queen Maeva of Assyria. My respects, Empress of Chaldea. I wish to write to you so I could congratulate you on the recent nomination to the throne, as well as offer my condolences for your father's death. Assuming power is a heavy responsibility, but I have been told that you are very capable, and I know that Chaldea is in good hands. Chaldea and Assyria have always maintained solid diplomatic relations. I hope that they will continue, nay, prosper under your rule. Up until now, the matriarchs have always been opposed to non-commercial negotiations, but your nomination has made them curious. We dare to believe that in your presence, my emissaries and myself will cease to be subjected to the patronizing condescension that your predecessors invariably displayed and that made my country's past rulers go wary of further interactions. The gods whisper to me that your ascension to the throne signals the dawn of a new era for the continent. Therefore, I wish to support you as much as I can. With the matriarch's assent, I have decided to mandate an emissary, whose role it will be to liaise between our two nations. Her name is Asha Isabis. She is an exceptional woman who I hope will be welcomed into your palace as she deserves. With all my sympathy, Mavia, Queen of Assyria. Okay, those lines, like how dangerous I'm or are, so cringe to me. I mean, I could see it. They could be seen as cringe, but at the same token, it's like when you're trying to say I seem as I'm not as dangerous as I make myself out to be, or I'm more dangerous than I make myself out to be. It's more of a description, so I kind of I get where you're coming from, and that is definitely a personal taste, but I also understand where the studio is coming from here as well, where the creators are coming from. Just sometimes you kind of need descriptives, and sometimes they don't always come out the way that they should come out. Anyway, going back to our game. That's wonderful news. I'll need as many allies as possible during my rule. Indeed, diplomacy is a delicate art, but it's fundamental for Chaldea's prosperity. You'll need to woo the neighboring countries and ensure their goodwill is towards us. Okay, the diplomacy is not available in this demo. Okay, so diplomacy is not... Okay, so there is an active feature that's not available. We just got notified. But we'll talk about that later. For now, we have a coronation to organize. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, and we're all fancy now. I forgot I chose this. I didn't choose the dress. I chose the hair to go with the dress. I thought this would be a bit better. The big day had finally come. Impatient and nervous, I paced my bedroom while checking my hair and my outfit for the umpteenth time. Nothing was easy as per usual. I was supposed to display poise, elegance, and grandeur, all while remaining humble. All right then. Despite all that, I felt ready and dignified, and I only waited to hear from Alexander, who would escort me since my father wasn't in a state to do so. Yeah, 6 feet underground. Anyway, time was passing by an infuriatingly slow pace when finally he knocked and walked into the room, clad in his ceremonial attire. That armor and the pompous cape that went with it didn't suit him, and I suppressed a smile when I saw him squeezed into it. Oh, poor Alexander. Ready, Your Grace? Almost timidly, I nodded while he politely bowed to let me pass in front of him. Then he followed suit, respectfully walking up one step behind. Her Grace Scarlet de Terrenfell, Princess of Caladia, Duchess of Terranfell, Lady of Vermont, blessed by Horel. I closed my eyes and savored this title that I was hearing for the last time. When the herald would announce me next, I would be Empress of Caladia. Oh, I didn't remember having ever seen the throne room this packed. Clearly, when I had been told that the entire castle had gathered here, it hadn't been an exaggeration. Whoops. To try and hide my nervousness, I walked at a slow pace, my head held high, my eyes leveled at the throne. But my curiosity slowly got the better of me, and while I tried to remain as dignified as I could, I let my gaze wander discreetly in search of familiar faces. Alden, of course, stood right next to my throne, his face impassive but his eyes bright enough that I could see the pride reflected in them. Robert was there too, my future crown already held in his hands. He did his best to appear as imposing as his function required him to be. In the noble section, I recognized Leon of Voldor, surrounded by his family, conversing with other nobles who were vaguely familiar to me. Okay, so that's Leon right here, essentially. To my surprise, I also spotted Theodore, leaning against a pillar, his gloomy aura seeming to hold people at bay so that he wasn't drowning in unknown faces. As I passed by her, Marjorie gave me a smile and I felt her perfume reach me, calming me despite its loud scent. Finally, the last steps stretched before me and I suddenly realized that I couldn't hear the crowd's hubbub anymore. The only sound was my heart beating in my temples. Ceremoniously, I knelt in front of this throne that was still forbidden to me. Soon I had cause to praise whomever had the brilliant idea to place a small cushion under my knees. The blessings were proceeding at an infuriatingly slow pace. I listened to them with only half an ear, but I still displayed my most serious and focused face to honor the solemnity of the ceremony. The day before, Robert had asked me if I wanted to celebrate tradition by taking the name of one of my predecessors, or if I'd rather start my own dynasty. Oh, keep our name. Keep our name. Or your reign name will be Melisandre II. Let's keep our name. I say we keep our name. We're trying to start a new era here, so let's keep our name. I understood the importance of traditions, but I was much too proud of who I was to give up my name, my identity. I wanted to carry it with pride for as long as I would rule. I didn't know the sermon by heart, but I knew it would soon be ending, since the whole place seemed to grow livelier. With each passing second, both the crowd and Robert's voice vibrated with renewed excitement, until the key moment came. I closed my eyes and braced myself for the weight of the, surprisingly light, crown that he delicately placed upon my head. Rise up, Scarlet First of Terranfell, Empress of Caladia, first of her name, Duchess of Terranfell, Lady of Vermont, chosen by the Four and blessed by Horel. You shall bow no longer, since from this day and until your death, in the name of the gods, I entrust you with the charge of guiding your subjects and making Caladia shine bright for the decades to come. Slowly, I rose and turned around to sit on that throne that had been meant for me. Then I opened my eyes to look at the crowd. It suddenly went quiet, and an almost religious silence settled in for a few seconds. Long live Empress Scarlet the First! Alexander's voice resounded next to me, oddly loud, and as it shattered this almost dreamlike moment, cheers rose from all sides in a spectacular chaos. The general enthusiasm was contagious, and I caught myself smiling and waving at the crowd with a bit too much vigor. Alright, day 36, evening. Your look has been modified. Okay. The party was in full swing, and if I was still beaming, my head was starting to hurt with the incessant salutations of people come to pay their respects. You should empty this glass into a flower pot and ask for one of the servants to pour you grape juice instead. Or maybe I had too much wine, if I was being honest. I couldn't remember how many times my glass had been refilled, but one thing I knew, it had never stayed empty. Even if Marjorie was probably right, I pouted. Come on, Marjorie, am I not allowed to have a little bit of fun? It is my coronation day, after all. She shook her head with a tender smile. You can't do this precisely because it's your coronation day, sweetheart. Some people might be subtler about it than others, but everyone is watching you and judging you. She was right, and I knew it. I had let myself relax perhaps a bit too much, carried away by my enthusiasm. That acknowledgement didn't stop me from heaving a sigh of despair. Hold on. Okay. Alright. Well, I didn't come here to coddle you. I know you're perfectly capable of managing the situation. I just want to officially congratulate you. No one deserves this title more than you, and you'll make an incredible Empress. Her face sparkled with pride and affection, and I felt my heart melt under her praise. Her opinion had always mattered a lot to me, and I felt myself go back to the little girl I once was, who always sought her approval. I hesitated for an instant, but finally, I let myself gently hug her, making sure not to spill my glass on her in the process. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you for everything. She kindly stroked my hair and I stayed in her embrace for a few moments, just long enough to regain control of my emotions, which were threatening to make me cry. She gently patted my back to remind me of my duties, and I finally let go of her, my face now wearing a more neutral expression. Go on, sweetheart. I won't keep you any longer. People are queuing to talk to you. She was right. As much as I tried to hide it, many people stood nearby waiting for an opportunity to pounce on me as soon as I'd be free. The quickest to the mark was a young woman I'd never seen before. One look at the pretty dreadlocks she sported, decorated with small golden jewels, told me her background. Magnificent coronation, Your Grace. Her melodious accent convinced me I was right, and I flashed her a courteous smile. Thank you. Lady Asha, are you not? She seemed surprised for a second, then her face lit up. Well, I'm flattered you recognized me before I could introduce myself. I don't know who spoke of me to you, but I do hope they said good things. She gave a small laugh as if to brush off this pleasantry, which I knew had a much deeper meaning. After all, I had indeed heard a lot about her, both from Queen Meva, who had warmly recommended her to me, and from Robert, who had tried to paint her as an ungodly heathen and temptress the minute she had set foot in the capital. Oh my gosh. Why? Alright. Of course, your queen keeps showering you with praise. Then allow me to return her kindness and tell you how fantastic Meva is. She'll make a formidable ally. Her familiar way of talking about her ruler made me quirk an eyebrow, but I didn't mention it. After all, Assyrian customs were much different from ours, and her relationship with her queen was none of my concern. As long as she didn't use the same casual tone while talking about Chaldean nobility, there would be no issue. In any case, I do hope Chaldea is to your liking, Lady Asha. Unfortunately, I still haven't had the time to visit your beautiful lands and to taste your many specialties. Therefore, the question may be a bit premature. She gave me a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes, which made me see that her answer was an elegant way to not speak ill of the place without lying. Interesting. Now that it was my castle and my nation, it did upset me a little, but I couldn't be mad at her for finding the place a bit drab. My father had never had a keen eye for interior design. I was about to ask her more futile questions when Robert stepped into the space between us. The gesture was overtly rude, but his position allowed him to act in that manner, and I turned away from Asha to listen to what he had to say. Your Majesty, please forgive me for interrupting, but I must speak with you on a topic of the utmost importance. He barely hid the dirty look he gave Asha. She understood the message and gracefully curtsied. I'll go breathe some fresh air in the gardens, if you'll excuse me, Your Majesty. I mentally took note of where to find her if I wanted to continue the conversation, and bowed to her in lieu of goodbye. Then I focused my attention on Robert, wondering with some trepidation if something bad had happened. What's going on? Don't worry, Your Majesty, nothing that will spoil your night. I just want to make sure that you are taking my warnings about the Assyrian diplomats seriously. I don't find her trustworthy at all. I had to hold back a sigh. It was quite distressing to see him go to such trouble only to interrupt my conversation with a foreign dignitary. That is a little bit rude, honestly, because we don't know anything about them. Alright, please be comforted. She wasn't inviting me to dance naked in the sea of honor of the snake goddess Sif. I had said that in a playful tone, hoping to lighten the mood, but he looked even more upset. You should take this issue at heart. These people are insidious. They seem nice, you let your guard down, and by the time you realize you've fallen into the trap of a witch, it's much too late. I didn't have the patience to hear more of this. I took an offended expression. It wasn't really religious, but that wasn't the point. My faith for the four was sincere, and I was truly offended. Okay, so my faith for the four was sincere, and I was truly offended, or I wasn't really religious, but that wasn't the point. I'd say the faith of the four. I'd always relied on the gods, and I couldn't tolerate anyone implying that my convictions were unsteady, or that I am so easily influenced, especially given the importance of the order within Khaldea. Shrouded in rag's anger, I gave Robert a withering look. Do you believe my faith could be so easily shaken, High Priest? Taken aback, he immediately softened and apologized profusely. I relaxed in turn. I'm taking note of your worries, and I promise I'll be careful. But you must also understand that you simply cannot say such things about a foreign guest, especially not in public. Right? Why would you say that? Anyway, no, why would he say that? Especially in public. That, it's one thing to, say something behind closed doors, but it's another thing to, say something like that in a room full of guests where someone could potentially hear you. Especially if you're trying to be discreet about this. It's insane. Okay. This could have serious diplomatic consequences. Right, that's the other issue about this. Diplomatic consequences. He scowled once more, but didn't say a word, politely bowing instead. I understand, Your Grace. A short silence passed between us before he turned away, mumbling something about prayers he had to make. Sorry, I had to clear my throat again. Alright. For the first time of the night, I found myself alone and no one came to talk to me, perhaps for fear of getting caught in the fallout from this tense conversation. I enjoyed that respite and decided to go talk to... Okay, who do we talk to? I feel like the only person that really said anything to us this entire go-around was Asha. Let's go to our conversation with her. I was very aware of how ironic it felt to meet up with Asha to continue our conversation. Robert's words buried in a deep, dark corner of my mind, as if they had never existed in the first place. Like she had mentioned, she was enjoying the fresh breeze in the gardens, and I had no trouble finding her. She was leaning against the balustrade of a gazebo. Casually, I came closer and I leaned next to her, admiring the stars. I'm terribly sorry for that rude interruption, but one can't keep the gods waiting, as the saying goes. The little phrase was supposed to lighten the mood, but Asha gave me an indecipherable look that piqued my curiosity. Forgive me, I know your customs, but some of them are very hard for me to grasp. You mean the fact that we have different gods? To my great surprise, she shook her head, making her hair dance around her. No, we have so many gods. I wouldn't be surprised if yours existed in some way in our pantheon. It's rather the concept of priests that baffles me. Gods are all-powerful beings. Why would they lend their voice to fallible humans? If they have anything to say to anyone, ours speak directly to the person in question, without the risky interference of a go-between. Clearly, I wasn't expecting that line of thinking, and my mind fogged up as it was by alcohol didn't help me find convincing arguments. No, I mean, it does make a little bit of sense. I understand where Asha's coming from at this point. Alright. That irritated me quite a bit, as I always disliked not having the final word. Asha must have mistaken the nature of my contrariety, and she flashed me her most beautiful, contrite smile. But I'm rambling. There are so many more interesting things to talk about, especially tonight. Like your magnificent coronation, or this delicious wine from the islands that you've been serving, for example. I usually wasn't one for small talk, but I couldn't get enough of her melodious accent, which emphasized her impeccable pronunciation. Almost by instinct, I swirled the contents of my wine glass, which I had been foolishly holding untouched, since Marjorie had warned me. At least this time it allowed me to get to know my interlocutor. What is an interlocutor? I am so confused. Okay. Interlocutor. I feel like I feel like I have to look this up again. Okay. Interlock. Oh, interlocutor, a person who takes part in a dialogue or conversation. Okay, so essentially just a conversationalist. Gotcha. At least this time it allowed me to get to know my interlocutor. You're right, it's good. It's of Iristinian import, isn't it? She swirled the wine around her own glass, her gesture practiced and skillful before taking a light sip, her eyes closed. Yes, without a doubt. Black Castle, even. Half doubted, half impressed, I didn't hide my surprise. You can tell where it's from just like that. Yes, before working for Queen Mava, I was a trader in that field. In fact, my travels were the reason I discovered your culture and learned your language. Once more, I looked at her intrigued and impressed. You sail. Numerous superstitions made it so that women were unwelcome on board ships in Chaldea. Just imagining her on the seas was breathtaking. Oh, no, I don't have any seafaring skills. I am incapable of reading a map or using a sextant. I leave that to the captain. I only take care of the products. Or rather, I used to only take care of the products. How impressive! You look as young as me, and yet you seem to have led a much more eventful life. My reply seemed to surprise her, and she tilted her head to the side, making the mental beads in her hair chime. Or the metal beads. Can't read. The metal beads in her hair chime. I think you're a bit younger than I am, Your Grace, and besides, you're Empress. The title made me smile almost despite myself, but it didn't entirely remove the melancholy from my voice. From today only. I could only guess the life that she had led, but I felt frustrated in comparison to have waited all these years in the shadows. All I had done was study and place the rare pawns at my disposal in the best way I could to prepare my coronation. Okay. And choked on my drink. Okay. Without the stroke of luck that ended my father's life prematurely, I could have waited much longer. The scholars always said he was healthy as a horse. Solemnly, she held out her glass to invite me to toast and looked me in the eye. But you'll rule for a great many years to come, and I'm glad to be here in Chaldea to witness it, Majesty. She seemed sincere, and somehow her words managed to lighten my heart, while our glasses clinked against one another. She was right. Holding on to the past was useless. I had to look to the future now that I truly had the power to change it. And I'm glad to have you by my side as well, Asha. I hope that the bonds between Assyria and Chaldea will be strengthened thanks to your presence. I'll do my best, Your Grace. There was a short silence while we sized each other up and happily recognized in each other the same wit and the same strength of character. Finally, she lifted the glass to her lips and drained it with a sensual sort of elegance. I set aside Marjorie's advice for a second and followed suit. This party was, after all, held in my honor, and I wanted to savor a good glass of wine in good company under the stars. Okay, day 37. Jeez Louise, alright. Your Grace, as you surely know, an essential task that comes with your role as a ruler is to listen to your subjects' petitions. They've accumulated since your father's death and even before. He was never really fond of that duty. Now that you've been crowned, you'll need to delegate them a fair share of your time. It's especially important because the other advisors and myself have gotten used to lodging petitions on matters that require your attention but do not fit into the council's agenda. Alright, so explain it to me real quick. All of this is very new to me. I won't say no to further explanations. Petitions are matters that require your informed judgment, whether they pertain to trials, grant requests, or other various issues. The other advisors and myself are usually tasked with submitting them, but we may also pass on requests coming directly from your subjects. I divide them into 2 stacks, urgent affairs and current affairs. Of course, urgent affairs must be attended to as soon as possible. I've added an exclamation mark to the stack for more clarity. As long as all urgent affairs haven't been dealt with, I won't give you any current affairs, so as not to distract you with futile matters. As with everything that requires your input, petitions may necessitate the mobilization of certain resources, but don't forget that they can also offer opportunities. Good decisions can turn out to be quite lucrative. Finally, you must keep in mind that improving the living conditions of your people will ensure their affection for you and, in the long run, will contribute to the realm's prosperity. Is that clear? It all makes sense. Okay, so that does make sense, actually. Perfect. I suggest that you deal with one of mine first. It's an issue that has been on my mind for a while. He took a moment to rummage through the items on the table before handing me a sealed parchment roll. Here you go. Well then, I'll let you study that on your own and go about your business. Feel free to go through more of them so you can grow familiar with the process. You will be informed of their outcome in due time. So, even if the crown is yours, I'd be wary of your brothers. For some, an illegitimate son is far better than a woman, and I wouldn't want the nobility to use this excuse so they can rid of you in the first chance they get. I've tasked the Master of Murmurs with investigating them. At the moment, it seems most of them live a modest life as a craftsman or servants, but the simplest minds can be the easiest to sway, especially since you haven't established any bond with them, which means that nothing will stop them from betraying you. I suggest dealing with the issue in a permanent way. Alden of, well, so how do we want to deal with this? You're right, it's best not to take any risks. Though I loathe these methods, I can't risk a civil war or a coup. I've given too much of myself to end up like that. Have them assassinated. So, assassination? As long as they haven't done anything to me, I refuse to let paranoia get the best of me and have them assassinated. However, I do recognize that my half-brothers are a threat, and I believe we should definitely keep an eye on them. Assign spies to each of them, and we'll decide how to react if they start plotting against me. I refuse to become a tyrant like my father. Assassinated. So, you think we should just go on and assassinate them, or should we... Okay, hold on. I refuse to become a tyrant like my father and to let paranoia trap me in a spiral of violence, so I'll take the opposite approach. I'll make them happy, which should ensure that they don't have any desire to take my title from me, or to cause me harm. Send someone to ask them what they want, and do your best to satisfy their wishes, but make sure they're aware of my role as their patron. Okay, so we can either off them, spy on them, or buy them off. I'm just joking, but assassination is the only way. Okay, so I guess we'll have... Alright, I guess we can figure out assassination. Murder solves... Oh, that's an achievement! That's an achievement! Your Grace, to avoid making our operation too obvious, we have staged the murders as accidents and have spread them over a few days. As always, our agents have been amazingly efficient, and 3 assassinations have taken place without a hitch. A single one of your brothers, Yasin Lecodorno, has survived their attack. He is at the Count of Visurio's court, and the Count's close security managed to stop our men. Thankfully, they managed to escape before being interrogated, but we must let a few weeks pass before another attempt is made. I'll keep you updated on the situation's evolution. Master of Murmurs. Okay. So we have petitions, politics, or events. This feature is not available in the demo. Petitions. What do we have for petitions? Good morning, Your Grace. In need of support, I take the liberty of writing to you despite the borders that separate us, hoping that you will not take offense. Following a painful illness, my father, the Grand Duke Edgar de Belarus, recently died. May his soul rest in peace. As his only direct heir, I would normally receive his titles and lands, but some cousins of the family have decided otherwise. Oh. Since I'm not married, these dear cousins argue that there must be a patriarch for the family to run smoothly. Of course, my father's title and possessions are all they care about, and they have no use for me. I fear I cannot protect what's mine from their shenanigans. Your ascension to the throne, despite criticism, is an inspiration to me, and that's why I took the liberty to asking for your help today. I know that Chaldea's influence in my country is limited, or country is limited due to the animosity between our two nations, but I have no doubt that you are a resourceful woman who will be able to offer me valuable advice, if not involve yourself on my behalf. Very respectfully and with my sincere friendship, Lady Alma of Belarus. Okay, so I understand your position too well. It's true that my opinion carries little weight with the administrations of Vargras, but everyone knows how slow your country is administratively. If your cousin's request were to disappear, it would give you much more time to firm up your position. A piece of paper is easily lost, so have faith in your lucky star. Or, beyond the complex laws of inheritance, it's often those who have the means to assert their rights who get what they want. A show of strength will convince the Emperor that you are the most suitable person to take over the estate. I'll send you some resources that will help you in this process. I trust you'll return the favor when you've attained what is rightfully yours. I sympathize with the difficulties. Unfortunately, as you pointed out, I'm not welcome in Vargas, so I can only advise you to find a powerful person in your country to support you. I sincerely hope you. Okay, I say we diplomat here, because there really isn't much that we can do. Your Grace, I thank you for your wishes of success, as it seems that no missive from my cousins managed to reach His Majesty Justinian III. I went myself to the palace to defend my cause, and since there was no one to contest, my request was accepted. I was able to recover the title and lands that were rightfully mine, and my cousins have now become very kind in hope of scrounging up a few favors. Ha! Oh, I love that. They were so high and mighty up until the Emperor just said, "Nope, this is yours. Sorry. Not your cousins. Sorry, cousins, but this is hers." Alright, I was able to recover the title and lands that were rightfully mine. Okay. So I will be able to protect my inheritance as my late father wished. As a token of my gratitude, I'm sending you a shipment of marble. I hope it'll help you in return. Respectfully, Lady Alma de Belarus, Duchess of Belarus. Alright, number of remaining turns. Let's go into politics, I guess? Okay, what am I low on right now? I think we're actually okay. Yeah, no, I'm not losing my people's faith. Um, yeah, no, I think we're good. I think we're good. So petitions again, I guess. Let's go with another petition. Your Grace, as you know, tradition requires that every emperor have an immense mausoleum built in their memory, with a gigantic statue in their likeness adorning their tomb. Your father's body is currently in a coffin with Astaroth's great temple, so that pilgrims may come to pray over him. But it's high time to build him a tomb befitting of his glory. High Priest Robert. Even if I didn't hold my even if I didn't hold my father close to heart, I wouldn't want to oppose tradition. Order the construction of a magnificent mausoleum in his honor, although I won't be overseeing it. Like every emperor, he'll have his mausoleum, but I'd rather spend our resources on the living than the dead. Make sure that his tomb is decent, but without any unnecessary embellishments. Okay, so it's one of these two. I am not doing that one. Let's see. Yeah, I'd say this one. All right. So +5 nobility, +2 religion. That's what that gained me. Cool. Even if the emperor was not very much liked, it was the right thing to do. Tradition cannot be ignored, and the people's fervor towards the royal family has been strengthened. True, the Mausoleum is not particularly striking, but no one has a bad word to say about it either. High Priest Roberts. Alright, and that's all we have for that turn, evidently. So what else are we gonna do? I was truly glad to be Empress now, but as I expected, I hadn't had a single moment to myself since my coronation. There were endless and continuous stream of people paying their respects to me and of more or less futile issues to solve. Alright. Back. Alright. Okay. Even if I was happy to finally be able to exercise my power legitimately, I also felt that I needed a break. Thus, after taking care of the most urgent matters, I decided to take a moment to relax in... Okay, we want a moment to ourselves. You'll talk with Alexander, you'll talk with Asha, or you'll talk with Theodore. Let's go to the gardens, I guess. We have to talk with somebody, evidently. I was hoping that we could get a moment to ourselves, but no, we have to talk with somebody. Let's just talk with the person that we actually seem to enjoy and shared a bottle of wine with. Alright. Taking a breath of fresh air seemed like the best way to replenish my reserves of energy, especially since the weather was lovely. I aimlessly walked along the garden trails, filling my lungs with clean air when I saw Asha sitting on a bench, her eyes closed, her head thrown back. She looked so peaceful that I wondered if she was sleeping, and I approached her as stealthily as I could, trying not to wake her up. My spying talents must have been rather unimpressive, since she heard me and opened her eyes to look at me. With a smile, she politely bowed her head. "Good day, Your Majesty. Are you here to take a sunbath as well?" She unceremoniously motioned to the bench, inviting me to join her. Although I was surprised by such familiarity, I was still tempted, and I sat down on the smooth wood, comfortably warmed up by the sun. It would be a crime to have such a beautiful garden and not want to take advantage of it. I can only approve. This is my favorite spot in the palace alongside the library. I softly smiled at her, letting a lazy silence settle between us until I felt the need to start conversation. "So tell me, do you enjoy Caladia?" "It's a beautiful place, but as beautiful as it may be, it only reminds me how much more beautiful my island is. I had never been to Assyria, but I had heard the most wondrous descriptions of it. I could understand her homesickness, but at the same time, I felt a touch of chauvinism stir within me." What is... Okay, you know what? I've been playing this for like 2 hours and 17 minutes. I cannot look up this word, but I am dead curious as to what that is. Alright. This isn't a contest, Asha. I had said that in a joking manner to hide my scowl, but she didn't budge, showcasing once more her talent for a subtle backtalk. "That's good, because you would lose." This would have annoyed me from most people, but her pert little expression simply made me want to play along, and I replied just as mischievously, "If you're feeling so homesick, I can always send you back." "And deprive you of the only person with a sense of humor in your court? I highly doubt that, Your Grace. Especially since this place is in dire need of feminine presence, the ratio would crash were you to send me away." Her remark made me laugh briefly but openly. "If what they say about Assyria is true, I suppose it must be strange for you to see so many men holding power." "Oh, yes, and it just comforts me in the certainty that we've done the right call letting women rule. If only the rest of my people could hear what you're saying. You think your gender might stand in the way of your rule? Obviously, don't forget I'm only here because my brother is dead and my father never remarried. I've been crowned, but I know many people still doubt my abilities and my legitimacy. And yet, do you feel up to the task?" "I definitely am up to it." There wasn't a hint of doubt in my voice. My entire life had been built around this rule. That was now mine. Asha seemed deep in thought. "Have you been preparing yourself?" "To the best of my abilities, yes. I've read books, many books, on many different subjects. I've listened to my elders' advice too. But, well, there isn't exactly a course organized by the scholars for all of this." "There isn't one? Really?" "Well, where I'm from, potential future queens receive a very strict education from an early age, which is destined to make them the best possible rulers. Everything is planned for. And even if you follow the curriculum, in order to be crowned, you'd still need to undergo a whole battery of tests supervised by the matriarchs. A queen can only be appointed once she's proved her discernment and her value." Impressed with a system that was completely strange to me, I took in the information with curiosity. "And do you think that's effective?" Nothing's ever perfect, but we haven't had a single tyrant since the system has been set up. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay, I'd only say it fosters a certain inertia. Our queens are the protectors of our people. To fulfill that duty, they abandon their names, dedicate themselves to their task, and follow that long training which shapes them. That preserves us from the ambition of a single person, who could decide to satisfy their thirst for power at the expense of others. But when you look closely, none of the 12 queens of the kingdom particularly stand out. Her analysis seems thorough and far from the simple chauvinistic admiration that I had initially suspected of animating her. That prompted me to take some time as well and ponder before answering. I see. It's true that reigns on the continent are often eventful. But I do think that sometimes a strong-headed leader with a distinct personality is what's best to guide a nation in a time of crisis. As I've told you, Your Grace, nothing is ever perfect. And I wasn't trying in the slightest to cast doubt on your reign to come, if that's what you were thinking. If I was wary of you, I wouldn't have told you all those things. Thank you for your trust. Ever since my coronation's taken place, I haven't had a minute to step back and take everything in. Perhaps I'm too defensive. The weight of responsibilities that come with your title would break my people's backs, believe me, but you can't neglect yourself either, Your Grace. A tree worn down by the tantrum of nature isn't robust enough to bear its fruits. And even on that count, I think Assyria is ahead of you. If you want to wind down one day, I'll show you one of those massages we're famed for. A malicious smirk flickered in her eyes and coupled with the slightly husky tone of her voice, made me blush. Eager to hide my embarrassment, I took refuge in humor. If you weren't a woman, I'd have sworn that you're propositioning me. Oh, I was definitely flirting with you, Your Grace. Oh? Her frankness took me aback, and I found myself stunned silent. Nobles were fond of these kinds of false seduction games, but I had never seen it take place between two women. I knew it. We knew it. I mean, I think she actually was one of the people that was one of the suitors that we could pick, I think. I mean, we all kind of did see this one coming, so I mean, I'm not as surprised. Okay. And that made me uncomfortable, or that made me want to play along. Asha will continue to flirt with you even if you don't romance her, or Asha won't flirt with you outside the romance scenes anymore. We knew you knew I knew everyone. What? We knew you knew I knew everyone knew. That makes no sense. You would dare to try and corrupt my pure and innocent soul. My voice was clearly exaggerated and provocative, which seemed to amuse her. Your soul may well be pure, but innocent? I doubt it. You're far too cunning for that. She winked at me. In any case, you know where to find me if you decide to take me up on my massage offer. Believe me, once you try it out, you won't be able to live without it. That's why it's perfect. We knew you knew. I knew everyone knew. That's why it's perfect. Very, very true. Very true. Okay. It might be best if I never try it out then. It would be most unfortunate if I fell into the hands of a foreign power. She burst into laughter when she saw the falsely worried face I put on, and I joined her, alternating between open fits and small giggles until my stomach hurt. She was the first to calm down. Her face turned serious and she cleared her throat. I shouldn't bother you any longer. I'm afraid my little nap has dragged on rather longer than I had planned, but it was a pleasure talking to you, Your Grace. All the pleasure's mine, Asha. Oh my gosh, why are we doing this again? I don't want to do this again. Okay. I'm fine with what our politics are. Petitions. We have petitions to do. Your Grace, I have discovered that someone has placed pagan talismans in the palace. One was even found in your living quarters. I do not think that these amulets hold any sort of power, but the intentions are quite real. I cannot bear the thought of that someone wishes to curse you. With the Master of Murmur's help, we have identified the servant behind these talismans. We have, however, stayed discreet. We will await your orders before we can take action. This could give us an opportunity to learn more about the situation. General Alexander. Okay. Okay, so Alexander I'll definitely take a little bit more into account. Um, Arrest her and interrogate her in the dungeon, or on her intentions and her practices. I don't want unnecessary bloodshed, finding excuse to fire her and tell her that she shouldn't come near me in the future if she doesn't want the order to find out about her little secret. You're right, we can't let the opportunity to gather information pass us by. Keep a discreet eye on her, she might lead us to other pagans, and we might learn more about her intentions towards me. Yeah, let's be wise here. Okay. And that under the +1 religion. Alright, we are actively keeping an eye on Miranda, but for the time being, we have not learned anything, apart from a few ridiculous and harmless rituals. Her life is just as mundane as it is boring, and she does not seem to be meeting with other pagans or actively working to bring about your downfall. Master murmurs. Okay, 2 more petitions. Let's go. I just want to get to like the story, but I also understand this is part of it as well. This is part of the we're building our Empress kingdom situation here. Like this is the Empress part of it. Your Highness, an important expedition is currently being set up. It will be led by the famous explorer Ohio Smith, accompanied by 2 notable scholars, the naturalist Jean Baptiste and the cartographer Johann. Their goal is to set sail for the far end of Bellicose Ocean so they can uncover whatever hides at the world's end. The scientific expedition would allow us to detail our maps and to research the fauna, the flora, and the geography of the new horizons. The scholars are very interested in this expedition, and many patrons have already contributed to it. This is why I humbly ask for your participation. High Priest Robert. Okay. Robert. Jeez, this is asking a lot out of me. Okay. So, to learn more about the world is a noble goal. We will gladly contribute to funding the expedition as long as we are the first to hear whatever information brings back. Or, if the scholars are so interested in this expedition, they can pitch in as well. We'll fund half of it, and we urge the priests and scholars to fund the other half. Or, I don't plan on funding such a certain expedition when there is much safer investments to make. If the scholars are so keen on this expedition, they'll have to fund themselves. I say let's put half and half together. Your Grace, the expedition is up and ready to go. May Basan watch over them. The omens are good. I'm sure that the expedition will be a success. High Priest Robert. And last petition of this round at least. And then we jump more. I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing? I don't know. Tell me what we're doing, guys. Your Grace, I bring you news of the expedition led by Ohio Smith. The explorer has been found half dead. Okay, so the guy that was found half dead on the Australian coast, apparently their ship got wrecked a few hundred nautical miles from the coast. Ohio Smith was apparently saved by a school of dolphins before being captured by pirates. He then proceeded to escape by jumping ship and swimming back to dry land. He thinks that his companions are still alive and begs us to launch a new expedition to retrieve them. High Priest Roberts. Seriously? Fine. Fine. We'll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll see what we can do. Jeez Louise. Okay. Oh, we actually got money out of that. Nice. Your Grace, thanks to your benevolence, I have been able to save my companions who were stranded on an archipelago of deserted islands. I do not have the words to express how grateful I am, but please accept these gifts as thanks for your incredible generosity. They are exotic commodities that we have found on the island. They are all the rage in marketplaces. I hope that they will be enough to repay our debts. Ohio Smith. Okay. Hey, day 52 is spring. Huzzah! We're almost done with spring. The days passed by in a blur, all similar to each other, new petitions to manage, new events to participate in, influential people to flatter. I never had any illusions. I had always known that my life as an empress would be mainly paced by paperwork and diplomatic discussions, but sometimes it got a bit much. I know the decisions I was making could change lives and minds, and I hoped that under my rule, my kingdom would prosper. but I couldn't see the results of my hard work after a few mere weeks. I had to settle for little victories, and I sometimes caught myself hoping for something, anything to disrupt my day. Unfortunately, nothing seemed to be on the cards. Your Grace, would you have a few moments to spare me? Startled out of my daydreaming, I looked at the unfinished letter in front of me and pushed it aside to give my full attention to the Master of Murmurs, who removed his hood after closing the door. Okay, one second. Alright, and we're back. Of course, I'm all ears. Today, a wandering caravan coming from Vargas was attacked by bandits while they were crossing the Elm Bridge. The merchandise was stolen, the guards were killed, and the people in the caravan are now being held hostage to be ransomed. By the Four, that's awful. I was now used to be the one who must find solutions, and I immediately started going through them in my mind. That bridge is a strategic location. It should have been better protected. We'll send men over there, and I'll ask Marjorie to send hers as well. Her men are closer by. They should be able to secure the area and limit the disruptions to that heavily trafficked commercial road. And put a bounty on these bandits. We'll have to find the hostages and deal with their captors as decisively as possible. Patiently, he lets me finish, but as I saw his expression, I realized there was more to it, and I frowned. Is there something in particular that I should know about this caravan? Master murmurs. Softly, he nodded. Amongst the captured people is one of my agents, a master of spying and infiltration. He had been in Vargas for a few months to keep an eye on a family of nobles, and he was urgently coming back with some vital information. Does it have to do with my father's assassination? Do you think Vargas is guilty of it? No. At first glance, there's no connection. Your father's assassination is still under investigation. Even if I have to admit that at the moment, we're somewhat stalled. Then what is this about? That's precisely the issue. I don't know. Apparently it was crucial information. My agent has always been excessively prudent. He feared that his mail might be intercepted, and therefore he was reluctant to send me written information, even if our messages are always coded. Interesting. So, the Master Murmurs' agent is very much paranoid, essentially. Alright. So you're telling me that one of our spies who infiltrates Vargas has been captured not far from the border while he was coming back with information of the utmost importance, and that you have no clue what that is. Finally, now that the Four has decided to grant my wish of a little more excitement, I start regretting wishing for it in the first place. The situation didn't bode well. That's correct. Like you, I do find this coincidence suspicious, but we can't be sure of anything. If they just want to cover their tracks, they could have simply killed him right there and then, as well as the guards. Maybe they just got rid of the body? We can't exclude that possibility, but we've received a demand of ransom addressed to his family, like the other 4 hostages. I don't know. Well, in any case, we have to clear up the situation quickly. Do we have other agents stationed in Vargas who could try to learn what our spy knows? A few, yes, but I'm afraid that they won't be discreet enough if they were to approach the same people. The decision is yours to make. I know it's dangerous, but we still have to try, or it's far too dangerous, we better play it safe. The agents should stay at their current post. Okay, so I know it's dangerous, but we still have to try, or it's too dangerous, we better play it safe. The agents should stay at their current posts. Oh, I feel like the right one is definitely gonna be this one. If it costs a resource, it's usually the right call, is how I've been learning this entire situation. Alright. I know, but if the information was crucial, we don't have a choice, we have to try. I understand, and for the bandits, what shall we do? I took the time to think and weigh my options before making a decision. Do we have any information whatsoever on these bandits? If they are who they pretend to be, they've been active all over the territory and always follow this pattern, but we know little about them. For the time being, we have no idea of their whereabouts or who their leader is. Are they trustworthy? I mean, once the ransoms have been paid, will they truly release the hostages? So far, yes, they've kept their word. Alright, so for the time being, we have no proof that this was a setup. We have to believe, at the very least, our agent is alive. If they're known for keeping their promises, the best course of action is to pay the ransom without further discussions. We can't continue letting these bandits live on our lands, even if they're known for being trustworthy. I absolutely do not trust them, and I don't want to pay ransoms all over the place. Pretend to pay the ransom, but trap them. At least we'll have fewer bandits on our hands if our agent is already dead. Okay, so oh, I feel like if we pay them, it's giving into their demands, though. Does any ideas? Like, I am open to anything, honestly, because I feel like on one hand, if we pay them, I feel like it's giving into their demands, and they could probably try doing this again to squeeze more money out of it. But at the same token, I feel like if we try doing this one, actually, wait a minute, this costs more to do. You know what? Let's just shoot our shot. Let's do this one. Very well, Majesty. I'll go talk to Alexander, prepare an ambush. We'll keep you appraised of the situation's evolution. Oh my gosh, I would like to Your Grace, even though it has been carefully planned, I regret to inform you that our ambush was a failure. The bandits were well prepared, and when they spotted us, they started killing the hostages and running away. Fortunately, your agent is very resourceful, and he managed to escape. I'm bringing him back to the castle right as I'm writing this report. One of the bandits is dead, but the rest of the group managed to flee. I desperately want to make them pay for their actions and pursue them, but the agent claims that his information is urgent and vital. You must absolutely meet him as soon as possible, Your Grace. Alexander. Okay, so we need to talk to the agent. Unable to sleep, I got up to take in a bit of fresh air at the window. As much as I told myself there was no point in speculating before I got the spy's report, I couldn't stop the foreboding I felt. Everything's going to be fine. Finish the demo. Oh, okay, and I was about to prove right. And that is the end of this demo. Okay, so this was the demo for Imperial Grace, which was part of the Choose Wisely event. Thanks for playing Imperial Grace demo. We hope you had a good time, which I did. This is very intriguing. Still, still very much. I have my opinions on people. Obviously, if you guys haven't told, no, it was not bad at all. This is actually really cool. If you guys did enjoy this game, like I said, they don't have a YouTube account as far as I'm aware of, so the best I could do was link to their Steam page. So if you guys want to check out the game, it's over there. And right down where the studio is, it should have all their social medias. Bye, Beta Fish. Thank you so much for staying around chit chatting. You are awesome. And thank you everybody else that stuck around and watched this visual novel. This was amazing. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't already, you can. There apparently is a Discord, which will be over on their Steam page, and I will be keeping an eye out for when this game does officially come out, and we will probably end up playing that as well. So that's pretty much all I got for today, and then tomorrow we will be ending the entire event with Lever, essentially, and that'll be interesting. That'll be about 11 o'clock tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time, if you guys are interested. And yeah, thank you again, Studio Ufua, for hosting the Choose Wisely Festival. This has been awesome. And thank you again, Sensoria, for letting me play Imperial Grace. I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and I am looking forward to when the rest of this comes out. That's all I got for right now, so I'm gonna go see if I can raid anybody real quick over on Twitch. Is anybody alive right now? Of course, I have. Oh, cool. I got a new achievement from Twitch. Okay, is anybody in the Choose Wisely Festival? Okay. Let me go check on people real quick. And I think okay. Cool. So Choose Wisely event. Choose wisely festival. Let me see if there's anybody on there. Um. Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, someone's playing some of the games that I did. Okay, so let me. We're gonna go over here. Let me switch over to. Do I have display on? I do have display on. Okay, let me switch game mode off real quick and on display. Um, actually, yeah. And then let me do this real quick. So here is my Twitch at the moment. I think so. This was a game that I played. And let's go help out some smaller creators. And I'm gonna go ahead and go over to Sagittarius star sign, and we're gonna go raid them real quick. I think if they'll let us. So give me 1 second. Let me see if we can actually do this real quick. Um. All right. Are we able to raid them real quick? Okay. How if we're not able to raid, I will probably just end up ending it here. Because I think Deadeye was kind of having the same issue where, yes, we do want to spread the love, but at the same token, it's kind of hard not to, or it's kind of hard to do so when people shut off the raids. But it is to everybody who wants to do so because I do understand there are dangers and possibilities of doing all that. All right, so let's see. Let's collapse that. Let's see. So give me 1 second. All right, and let's go raid some people. Okay, and this was. All right. All right, so we're gonna go over and raid Sagittarius star sign. And let's go. All right, see you guys over there. Bye.